Пошли. Все вместе.
Какие ваши доказательства?
Кокаином.
They'll be here, I'm sure. Oh, there we go. There's Lance.
Hello.
Lance.
How's it going?
We are going live now.
It's good to see all of you beautiful people. It's wonderful to see you all.
Blair's here tonight, right?
Oh, I don't know. No, I think she said the 30th.
She said no?
She's
I think that she gets internet back on the 30th.
What? And where does Blair live?
I'm getting, what the hell? Yo, Lance, is that you? I'm getting like a crazy feedback. What's going on? What's going on? Oh, wait, no. Sorry, I think it was me. I apologize.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? I don't hear anything.
You know what it was? I had the window open for the stream in another window, and I have like 1,000 tabs here, so it was just like, what's going on? And it was me.
Okay.
Did you have like a YouTube video open of like really bad sounds and screams that you actually like hit play on, like or something like that?
Well, I just heard our stream back, and it was like a minute late, so I was like, what the frick is going on? Anyways, hi everybody, we are live. This is episode what? 8? I forget what I wrote down. 8.
Wow.
How about that?
We're about to hit that milestone of 10. Not many podcasts make it that far.
Actually?
Really?
I don't know. I feel like probably.
It's like small businesses. Like only 10% of small business makes in the first year. It's like podcasts.
Yeah, all with the same members too. Like we haven't had any casualties. Like it's all of us, and it's like we have longevity at this point. Like if we can make it to 10, we can make it to 100, and then 1,000, and then 10,000, and then we'll probably die by then.
Jesus Christ!
I have to shout out one of our viewers. Today I went to the bodega, and as I'm walking back home, I see this big, beautiful pit bull in the street, and I'm like, the dog's like coming towards me, and the owner's trying to, I'm like, hey dog! And so I lean over real enthusiastic, and I swear to you, the person goes, a lie to me, like just like me, and I'm like, and I'm like, and they're like, I'm like, you know, they have on a mask. I'm like trying to see how I know them, and they're like, you don't know me. I just watched Leftist Mafia, and I was like,
what? That's amazing.
Yeah,
you got recognized.
I love that whenever I'm running to, I look like a woman of the people. I'm always like around my neighborhood looking like a vagabond and happily doing something. I was like, also, I also had to laugh because I was like, if she watches Leftist Mafia, I'm always fried, and this is so consistent with that she sees me in the street screaming, "Hi, dog!" Pretty dog.
I bet they're watching right now.
Yeah, so shout out to that person. That was great.
Yeah, that's such a cool story.
Yeah,
okay, so just so y'all know, the pace of podcasts has declined 80% from a year ago. 80% drop in podcasting success. Podcasts, they're plummeting. So we're one of the few. We're like one of the 1% that are still kicking.
Does anyone even upload this anywhere?
I uploaded
this
to
may not be a podcast. This is just a stream.
It's on the Surf Times podcast on all podcast sources.
Okay, there you go.
Oh, perfect. Good. Okay. Yeah, I uploaded to my channel as the VOD. I was going to ask you all, like, should we put this on Spotify and SoundCloud? I have an account that for SoundCloud that distributes it to like Apple and Spotify. I can do it too, but if it's on the Surfs, then that's perfect.
You should probably do that. It's one of those things. Yeah, we should probably just do it now so that we don't like decide to do it later, and then we have to like backlog a bunch of, you know what I mean?
Which would be a pain.
Yeah. So
that's what I did with my show originally, where I decided to put it on all the podcast platforms. And I was at like episode 47 when I was still doing episodes. So it took me like 3 weeks of just consistently plugging away every single night. And I don't think that like there's like 1,000 people that listen a week. So it's still substantial, but you know, it's not my bread and butter. So I was like, God, this is a lot. I should have done this sooner. So yeah, that's good advice.
Yeah, let's do it now. Yeah, so that's my advice. Okay, so Bender's gonna be late. He's always late.
As usual.
I think your microphone isn't picking up.
Oh, is my mic not working?
Well, it's working. I hear you,
Uh-huh.
but I don't know if it's coming in through the right one. That or you sounded far away.
It says it's the right. How does it sound? It still sounds bad. Oh, maybe
it sounds okay to me.
No, it sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds good now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Is it better or worse now?
So now there's some echo.
Okay.
Now we're echoing.
There we go.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll just keep it in front of I'll keep it here.
We also have we have a guest coming on as well today, don't we?
Yeah, it's at 9 o'clock. Plans. Oh yes, that's right. We do have plans. At 9 o'clock, we're going to have a guest join us, Matthew Solomon, who did a documentary reimagining policing and talking to a bunch of different experts. So we are going to present you with that trailer and ask him a few questions. Look at us doing knowledgeable things for y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, putting in the work this week.
Yes.
I watched the trailer. It looks good.
Yeah.
For talking to him.
I was like, okay, let me bring something smart. Let me bring something smart to the table this Thursday.
We need smart.
See, we bring the substance. We talk shit. We talk Game of Thrones, but we also have substance, folks. Okay.
And to those who have said that we need more structure, you're not wrong. And I want to say we had thought about this. We had decided Blair was the structure. Blair was moderating one episode. Blair's last episode where she was moderating, that was excellent. We had structure. So when Blair comes back, she will bring the structure.
Yeah.
Clearly,
somebody in the comments, they said, I love this show, but without Blair, there's just no structure, and she's like the glue that holds it together. I think that's accurate, because she really does bring the structure and the organization. So yeah, she will be back, I believe, next week, because she gets internet in 4 days. It crossed my fingers for her. So yeah.
Yeah, no, you're right. We agree. We hear you, and we just want you to know structure is coming. All right. So, what's going on in the news this week? What are y'all interested in? What's happened?
Well, we can start with something a funny video I saw this morning. This concerns Mr. George Santos. He's always he's always an enjoyable individual.
Whenever you say that, I'm always like, I'm so curious, which one's it gonna be? I wonder which one he's got, because there's it could go in so many directions here.
Yeah.
So let's check this out. You hear it? Good.
Yes.
Who do you think is going to win Drag Race this season?
I have not watched the season of Drag Race.
We had a great reply.
I like you this season.
This season. You got it up.
I'm not gonna lie to y'all. This is a very likable video of him.
Yeah.
He comes out very likable in this video.
It's because at this point he's already admitted that he did dress in drag. Though he said he wasn't a drag queen, but he did admit to being in drag, which is weird. That isn't more. That isn't. Yeah, I guess the costume for him. He said he was having fun in his younger years, whatever the hell his excuse was.
We all had fun.
So this video follows. So there's a Twitter interaction between. I don't watch Drag Race, so I don't know these people. But he responded to somebody, I guess, who was in one of the seasons, and I guess they won. And he responded saying something to the effect of how this individual, they won despite the fact that they weren't the fan favorite. So basically showcasing, that he watches the show. So
Interesting.
This person the next day is like, hey, who's going to win this season? And maybe, he lies all the time, but it looks like maybe he's not following this season, but there you go. This is the thing with Santos. He is such a unique figure in the sense that I have never seen anyone lie the way that he has lied about the things that he's lied about as many times as he has, and still been in this kind of position of power. Now, I'm sure there are, many pathological liars that are in positions of power, but because this is such a high profile example, there is an element where it's like, this guy's kind of impressive. Like, it doesn't mean I like him. It doesn't mean that he's a good person. It doesn't mean he should be in power, but he's impressive in the sense that he's been able to lie about everything for so long, so many lies that I have lost track of, that it is just, it's impressive on some level that you can be this kind of sociopath and do it so blatantly and still to this day remain in his position, which may soon change because of the potential violation when it comes to I didn't read too much into it, but the way he raised money, or the money he used for his campaign, apparently may have been illegal. So that one thing out of everything else,
as hell.
Yeah, that maybe.
Did you hear about the Nazi stuff?
Did you hear about the Hannah Montana stuff?
What? Okay,
I said Nazi stuff. You said Hannah Montana stuff. These are separate though. I'm thinking they're separate, right? Or were they the same?
Let's start with Hannah Montana because that sounds fun. What was that about again?
Yeah, so he apparently starred in, or was one of the stars or actors in Hannah Montana and The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. Now, the reporters who wrote this article, they checked and he does not have an IMDb page, so they assume that he's lying. Although, if there's any connoisseurs of Disney Channel shows circa 2003 to 2007, maybe you can spot him. I don't know.
I think I might vote to uncancel him this episode.
It's getting there, right?
Hold on.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, I might have to. Every time we see a video of him, I'm finding him incredibly likable.
I haven't told you the Nazi story yet, though. We got the Nazi story coming up next. Come on,
Matt.
Gone.
Hello.
Hi, Matt.
Why am I'm so dark? What's going on? My lights are. There we go. A little bit better.
Marginally, almost not at all.
I'm very orange this episode.
It is very dark.
It is darker than usual. You look like a shadow.
It's getting. Depends on.
No, that's just because I'm messing.
I think it's the focus of the camera.
I would address.
Oh, there we go. Oh, now you're very white.
Now it's way too bright.
Looks like whiteface.
Oh Lord! Wow, these comments. Poop killer too. I hate that I had to call you that, but you called yourself that. Who said he'd do great as a comedian? You are correct. You're actually correct, and that's why I think I like him. Right? Let me tell you why I think I like him. Normally, when you get all like the bad Republicans that are clearly deranged and lying and saying all kind of crazy, wild things and stories, they're normally like chaotic evil, like Donald Trump, right? Like George Santos seems like he thinks he's in a play, like he's in a simulation, like he just threw it out, and like it doesn't feel like he has any particular agenda beyond just like, ooh, this is fun. This is
playing the game,
yeah. And so it's coming off like wholesome chaos comedy, and I kind of like that.
Which, by the way, is pure sociopath behavior, just to think you're an actor in a play as opposed to like a real person that has an impact on people's lives.
Have you not read Shakespeare?
$3,000 from a dog that has cancer, like. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I hate him again. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, you all forgot about the dog. Yeah, that was the first story that ruined Santos for me, but I have another one that might make it even worse. George Santos made offensive past joke about Hitler and the Jews, according to a new report that was released today. Patch has obtained a screenshot of a post Santos made on Facebook that made light of the Nazi leader Adolf Hitler, saying killing the Jews and blacks mostly, and then adding lol 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 lol. Although it's not clear whether Santos was sincerely endorsing genocidal mass murder, the vice president of the Center on Extremism and Anti-Defamation League told Patch it's wildly inappropriate. So that one can be added to the list. And it's wild because he's also claimed that he is the son of Ukrainian grandparents who died in the Holocaust. Jewish Ukrainian grandparents who died in the Holocaust. Yes.
Just hitting every note he has to there.
I think you have to respect the commitment to the bit, right? Like, no, right? Because I'm black, I can make black jokes and cut off. Pretending. If you're pretending to be Jewish and our family, who else could make the? If anyone could make a Hitler joke, it would be you. So yeah,
that's true. He gave himself the pass.
That's an interesting angle. But
yeah, gave himself the pass.
If you really are committed.
Yeah, you got to, right? Like, that's your people. You got to crack jokes on your people. Yeah. Wow. George, I can't wait till like there's an inevitable TV series about him. Like, I can't. Somebody's gonna win. Someone's gonna win them hell of an award. Like, you already know it. You could see it. I could see the trailer. I could see the montage and everything. Like the drag. Oh, his unlikely rise to power. Oh, I can't wait. Excellent. It's gonna be some comedians like breakout drama role.
Who's going to play Santos? I was thinking John Lovitz, and then I saw someone already thought of that, and it's Jimmy Fallon, and I felt so ashamed. I could not wash the shame off my body because I despise that man, and I thought I was clever, and then someone's like,
Jimmy Fallon? Why? What do you do?
He thought of that same thing. I was like, oh, John Lovitz seems like he could play a George Santos, and then he actually just did that as a sketch, and I was like, oh.
No, but why did you hate him before that?
Oh, Jimmy Fallon? Oh, Jimmy Fallon's a scumbag. Yeah, no, he deserves no nice things, and only bad things should happen to him. I think
Jimmy
he should
Fallon,
take. Yeah.
Jimmy Fallon's not liked in the white community?
No, he's well. I can't speak for the entirety of the white community.
Him at all. I don't even think about him. No.
I hate him so much. Like, I hope he stubs his toe. That's what I'm saying because I don't want people to think badly of me.
Isn't he like an alcoholic? Like I think he has issues. Like I don't know. I'm not gonna pass judgment. I don't know.
He's just the shit. Like he has this shit-eating grin on his face.
Yeah.
He's a complete shill.
Yeah,
there's this
the definition of failed upward in every aspect of his life. He deserves nothing. Yeah, that's pretty much the scientific.
Failed upwards. That's it. That's it. The white man.
No, okay, it's well, okay. That I'm sure that plays an aspect. He's the SNL cast member who would like always break, but not in the fun break way. Like where a member all of a sudden is like, because like the scene is so funny. Just like he walks in and just like looks at the camera and is okay, sorry.
So he's not problematic. Right back. He's just whack. You just think he's whack.
No.
Well, he is.
He is whack.
I have it accurate here, but there is a lawsuit against his former SNL cast member and I believe his best friend Horatio Sanz. Again, a woman is suing him, claiming that he groomed her and sexually assaulted her when she was underage during his SNL days.
Oh,
and
wow.
Jimmy Fallon is named in the lawsuit as someone who enabled Horatio Sanz and is requesting that he testifies at whatever trial would come out of this.
Oh, my Jimmy.
Wow.
My radar was on point. I knew it.
Is this new? I haven't heard anything about
I didn't know
I didn't know about this.
This is over the summer. August 2022, all the articles are from.
Well, the defense attorney in me can't convict him off that, but I do understand how allegations have been levied against him to bring him to this moment. Like,
I can give you things that you can raise against them. Hawking NFTs more so, I would say, than most people in mainstream media. Bringing Paris Hilton on there, being like, you got to get these. His avatar on his social media was NFTs for a long time. He had all this stuff up until the point where stuff really started going wrong and people were losing tens of thousands of dollars. That's when he just kind of like quietly tried to walk away. There's that moment with him and John Oliver where John Oliver is trying to use an Alexa to talk about unionization, and like a little scumbag, he's like, no, don't. And John Oliver's like, no, wait, what's wrong? No, just Alexa, can you talk to me about Amazon unions? And he's like, no, stop, turn off. And you're like, what? You could get a taste, right? I was like, he's a scumbag. I can see it behind everything. He's just like, do not like.
Are you gonna raise him to be canceled later?
I think I wasn't thinking of it before, but now
it feels like you already made the case, right?
We should have Courvoisier or something here.
I have a controversial cancellation for later on.
Please, everybody in the audience, please let us know. Yeah. No, I want to know. I do think he's corny, but that's all I knew. But
like the fake laughter, the slapping on the desk. I can't take it. Like I honestly,
he's hard to watch for sure. I find him hard to watch.
Yeah.
Ruffling Trump's hair. Do you remember that whole little thing? It's like, oh, you're just you're adorable, like a little sheep. Like, look at you. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Sucking up to Chris Christie. So tell me, are you going to run for president? Oh my God, everybody wants to know. Shut the fuck up, you shill. Like I can't stand him.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Mike,
I feel seen right now. This is nice. I feel seen.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like George Santos is up for uncancellation and this is powerful. I don't know that's gonna look for us like out of context.
Yeah.
But I'm rocking with it. I'm here for it.
Just quickly on the NFT stuff, like that was like a year ago, wasn't it? Paris Hilton on NFT guard. Like it's crazy how fast that just like how quickly people just completely lost interest in that. And also I gotta credit my gaming community here. I'm wearing a nice PlayStation shirt here. Nice. They really tried hard to push NFTs onto gamers, and no one the community's completely rejected it. So I got for a rare moment, I have to be proud of the gaming community for saying no to NFTs.
Did all of y'all get offered
Yeah.
NFT sponsorships? Like I got NFT sponsorships all the time in my email, and some of them it would be like they already minted things that I never gave them permission to do. It would be like, hey Lance, we've minted a whole bunch of like thumbnails from your YouTube. Do you want to like claim these NFTs and then sell them to people? I was like, you've minted pictures of me and you're selling them, and you now want my endorsement? Like this is so weird. What a
Also,
shiesty
the word
company.
mint for something digital, it just sounds
I
stupid.
know.
Like you didn't make shit. This is just a screenshot. Like shut the fuck
Yeah,
up.
these are JPEGs.
I never understood what NFTs are or were. I don't know.
Because they're
It was way over my head. Like,
It doesn't matter anymore.
It's a hyperlink to a token, and that token has value if you put in real money to buy it on the Ether blockchain.
That's make believe. I can't.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
basically, yes.
In other words,
I
yes.
can't do make believe. Anytime that's how I feel when people start talking to me about the market and stuff, I'm like, this feels a lot like make believe, right? Like y'all made it real, and that's scary. Like, like I don't know what's happening here, and I just mind my business.
It's artificial scarcity on a digital platform. You could just infinitely replicate a JPEG. You just need memory to keep doing it. But in this case, if we can invent a way so only one person can own one version of this link, then we can sell it. And that's the idea behind it. Now we can sell these things that otherwise would be infinitely replicatable. Yeah.
It's one of the dumbest creations that capitalism has produced in recent memory to me. I mean, it's produced some dumb shit, but I mean, this is up there for me.
Yeah. On that topic, Bender, since you follow this stuff, are NFTs, like at least the images aspect of it, is that still around? Like, how are the Bored Apes doing? Like, are people still pushing this shit?
Oh, the Bored Apes are involved in a lawsuit, right? Yuga Labs, their parent company, is involved in a lawsuit now with Ryder Rips, that guy who claimed that he discovered a number of Nazi-related imagery and references in their art.
The logo is straight out of, like, when you look at it and you're like, that's the Atomwaffen right there. That's the SS and the skull. What is going on? Why didn't anyone point this out? Why are people not saying anything about this?
So here's the latest. So basically, Ryder Rips minted his own Bored Ape NFTs to mock the Yuga Labs and the Bored Ape Yacht Club. I sort of didn't like that he did that because it's still promoting the idea of NFTs, and he got paid money for selling these NFTs, even if they were mocking the Bored Apes. But because he did that, Yuga Labs sued him for trademark infringement. Because basically these are just straight up like Bored Apes that he like slightly altered or whatever. But when they did that, they didn't realize that as part of the court process, the lawsuit process, Ryder Rips, who they're suing, would be able to ask for information too as part of discovery. And so then they tried to get out of it. They tried to get out of their own lawsuit, and the judge wouldn't let them do that. And it just came out, I think a few days ago, that they don't actually have the copyright to any of the Bored Apes that they claim to have the copyright to. And that they might be in big trouble because as part of the NFT sales, I'm talking about Yuga Labs, like the Bored Ape Yacht Club people. As part of the NFT sales, they claimed that if you bought a Bored Ape NFT, you would have the copyright to that to the Bored Ape for as long as you owned that NFT. Well, it seems like no such copyright existed for them to provide that access, to provide that to. And they've since changed their terms of service to remove any mentions of copyright ability stuff. But
it's all so dumb.
I read an article where, copyright experts, legal experts were saying that this could be an issue for them if someone who bought Bored Ape and a Bored Ape NFT wants to pursue this.
Wow.
Isn't that what Seth Green was like losing his mind over because he made a whole cartoon series based on the Bored Ape that he lost? Yeah.
Yes.
But it turns out he never had the copyright at all.
To begin with, yes.
I
mean,
and like
I believe...
Eminem and Snoop too. They did a whole cartoon music video slash a song. And they went to the, so they don't own the copyright to any of that. Oh man.
I mean, I believe like when you're an artist and you create something, like it's just automatically you have the copyright of it for it, like because you created it, even if you didn't file the legal, information. I'm not an expert here, but I'm assuming that being that Yuga Labs are not the artists, then that causes more of a gray area there. And also, the art isn't all. These are 10,000 images, of which are very similar
AI
to each
art,
other.
right?
Which
Yeah.
is, they're just like there are ostensibly bored apes that look exactly alike, with almost exact, like they're almost exact replicas, minus a slight change of a prop they're wearing. Like,
And there's a bunch of racist combinations too.
yeah, there are two people out there who have an exact same ape. The only difference is one of them are wearing like sunglasses or something. So like, who would own the copyright for that ape if it's the exact same thing? And you wouldn't have a separate copyright just because one of them is wearing sunglasses.
That's true. I could make a cartoon called Mickey Mouse with Mickey Mouse wearing sunglasses. It's like, it's Mackie Mouse, and he's got sunglasses. That's a different thing.
I mean, that even changing his name, honestly, just
yeah, it would have been more work.
Yeah, this one's not the same because he's wearing sunglasses. No, that's not how it works, right?
The Samsons, they all wear sunglasses. It's a great cartoon.
I mean, like Steamboat Willie just entered the.
I know, and Disney pushes it every time. Wait, but actually though?
But people have to be very careful because the design of Steamboat Willie is not the same as the modern design of Mickey Mouse. You cannot just go out and start printing out a black and white Mickey Mouse and claiming he's Steamboat Willie. Steamboat Willie is a very specific design. You can pull it up if you want to compare, but you have to be careful with that stuff. I was reading all about that.
Well, luckily I have no use for Steamboat Willie, so
yeah, I can make him the mascot.
And it's got to be the Steamboat Willie created in 1928, I believe. Disney has since reanimated Steamboat Willie numerous times and updated how he looks, so you have to be careful there too.
So in other words, just don't mess with Steamboat Willie, folks.
Leave Willie alone.
Yeah,
just like if you want to
not
play
worth
around
it.
with it, just air it in your local library, wherever, for free, because you don't have to pay Disney to air it because it's public domain. But I wouldn't mess with it because probably Disney will come after you if you so much add a single strand of hair to Steamboat Willie that looks too much like Mickey Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
The lawyer says derivative uses of Steamboat Willie version of the character may be, in certain cases, used by others, but Mickey Mouse will remain the property of Disney for the foreseeable future.
Right. So you got to be careful that your Steamboat Willie doesn't look like Mickey Mouse. Like how that Winnie the Pooh horror movie that's coming out, that Winnie the Pooh does not look like Disney's Winnie the Pooh. They had to make a lot of, so they had to be careful not to even make it look similar whatsoever to Disney's current version of Winnie the Pooh, because that's a completely separate copyright.
There's a Winnie the Pooh horror movie coming out.
Oh yeah,
because Winnie the Pooh has entered.
Oh, when they killed, hold on, when they killed Eeyore first because he's black. Y'all see that?
Wait, what? Is it out? I haven't seen it yet.
In the trailer, Eeyore's already dead. It's like rest in peace, Eeyore.
Really?
There's a sign. Yeah,
watch
like
it.
they didn't even make it. Think about that. Why Eeyore dead?
I mean, we know because he probably killed himself because it's
Differently,
Eeyore.
right? Y'all want to explore why Eeyore is depressed? Y'all want to explore why
That would
Eeyore
be
is
my
depressed?
guess.
Right, all his rich ass white friends live in the 100-acre woods, and he lives on the outskirts of the community. And they spend all day frolicking and doing their little fucking adventures in the 100-acre woods. And no one sees him till the end of the episode. After they finish frolicking and shit, they go over like, "Hey, Eeyore, why so sad?" Literally, as nightfall, as my boy been sitting there all day wishing he got invited, they treat Eeyore like shit. Like, gas like the shit out of Eeyore. That's why Eeyore's sad. Eeyore's sad because he's poor and he lives alone, and his white friends don't invite him to the all-white gatherings. Goddamn it! That's why. Yeah,
I didn't know this.
Our guest is here, folks.
Yes, our guest is here.
Ole, do you want to
Good
introduce
timing.
him?
I can add him now.
Hold on. Oh, look, you already. Hi, Matthew.
Quick. I'm too quick. Sorry.
Yeah,
Matthew.
y'all are way too quick. I was trying to get us gathered to do a very responsible and give you the professional introduction that you deserve, but they were too fast. Now you have to deal with whatever this is. All right. We are so excited to have Matthew here. He is our Like, we are first like guest we're bringing on to show y'all a trailer for a documentary that he did that is really important, and we're gonna give him an opportunity to answer some questions, tell y'all a little bit about this documentary and this work. So this is Matthew Solomon.
Hello.
Hey,
nice
Matthew.
to
Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you. It's surreal because I watch you guys all the time, and now I'm like, oh, my face is on here too. So
it's a great name, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Right back at you.
I'm used to this being on shows with other Matthews and Matts. So going forward, it'll probably simpler if everyone just refers to me as Binder, so we don't get them.
I do anyways, so that works out for me.
There you go.
Okay,
Awesome.
that makes sense.
If you want, I can bring up the trailer now, so we have a kind of a basis.
Yeah, let's watch that.
Sure.
Watch the trailer.
Let me bring this in.
America's never been a place where we had democracy and equality and freedom and liberty for all and justice for all, and all we have to do is get back to that.
Race in this country has never really been removed from the political dialogue.
Because we won't reckon with our past, because we will let older people say, oh, that's so old, and let's not talk about that anymore. Slavery was so long ago. We haven't had it for 200 years. This is, not realizing that we never reckoned, we never repaired any of it at all.
Police are violence workers. We've been sold this false choice of policing or nothing, which has been used to terrorize people into accepting policing when there's a whole long list of things that they would rather have that they know would help address the problems in their communities.
When we say abolish the police, we are saying we do not want policing as we know it to exist anymore.
What people don't realize when we're talking about abolition is that we're really talking about the fact that we want you to be a decent person, that it's going to require that you relate to people.
We created a report and it's called Defunding the Police, Defining the Way Forward for HRM. Like, the myth is that we need all these people in jail while they'll be running around the streets, and that's not true. So I really try to shift us from believing that defunding is radical to recognizing that what is actually radical is investing billions of dollars into policing. So, not agree that defunding the police is this radical lefty, communist, Marxist, whatever, that is actually practical, it's good social policy, it makes sense, and here's a roadmap.
This is not some kind of abstract utopian envisioning. This is a very practical programmatic intervention.
When you begin to think differently and you begin to look at people through the eyes of the humanity in all of us, and sort of that love for humankind, your thinking and your approach to the work starts to be very different.
Very well done.
Very cool.
Yeah. So this is amazing. I really wanted to bring you because obviously we're having a lot of conversations. You see it a lot in the news, whether it be as just a political pawn or a reason, they're not giving it its due when talking about defund the police or abolition. So it's great to see people doing the work of compiling, talking to these experts, because it's right. It's a policy initiative and it makes sense and it's reasonable, but they don't present us with these experts. That's not the research they're presenting us with. Instead, they just kind of throw it out, as a radical, ridiculous thing. They don't engage it on a substantive level. So it's amazing that you went and did this. So I wanted to give you an opportunity to tell us about it, how you decided to do this and what you really learned from this.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. The short version is I went back to school during the pandemic to get a master's degree in public administration so that I could better use my privilege and my access along. I was doing a lot of conflict resolution consulting before the pandemic and traveling. And so, I wanted to go back to school, get a degree and to, enhance what I was able to do. And so through the coursework, this was summer of 2020, 2021, I was applying the issues with policing and incarceration and the, homelessness to my coursework in public administration. You know, what makes communities sustainable? What makes communities work? Why are they set up the way that they're set up? And so when it came time to do my final project, instead of writing a paper, one of my advisors was like, you know, you're a filmmaker. Why don't you do a film? And they're like, you know, it could be like a short 10-minute, you know, sizzle reel or something. And I was like, if I do a movie, it's going to be like a real movie. And so that's what I set out to do. And I, you know, originally I was thinking 4 or 5 people to interview. And then it was like, oh, I need this perspective and this other perspective. And people were, you know, I would interview somebody who would refer me to somebody else. And it just kind of grew into this thing, which I'm really happy about, because I think, you know, there's a lot of different perspectives. It's not just activists. There's, you know, the district attorney of LA County. There's, you know, USC law professor. There's a sociologist, Nikki Black, who's a friend of mine. Gina Viola, who ran for mayor in the city of Los Angeles on an abolitionist platform and came in 3rd. Hawk Newsom, Black Lives Matter, New York. Dr. L. Jones is a professor in Halifax, Nova Scotia, who co-wrote a 200-page report on how do we defund the police, and it was commissioned by the city of Halifax. So, you know, and then Hadia Kennedy, who's a former LAPD officer, and Senate Devermont, who's Mr. Checkpoint, you know, who films police and has, you know, been following him. So, you know, I wanted to get all those perspectives. And I think, you know, the feedback has been that the documentary really makes the case for what it's like, why it's like this, and here are the steps that we can, you know, take that are actionable and make sense to actually have like safety for everyone and stop, you know, funneling money into this, you know, policing and incarceration, you know, that's just like, you know, money out the window instead of actually investing in people. Yeah.
That is amazing, Matthew. That's a really productive use of your time during the pandemic. In the course of conducting all those interviews,
I played video games.
In the course of conducting all those interviews, Matthew, what would you say stood out to you or surprised you the most? Was that you learned?
Yeah. So, you know, going into it, so in the course of the master's program, I wasn't an abolitionist. I was, something needs to change, you know, something drastically needs to change. I was coming from consulting. So I was like, well, maybe if the police just knew how to like listen better or something, you know? So through the course of my research, I started reading abolitionist work, Mariame Kaba, Angela Davis, of course, you know, and so got to the point where, okay, now I'm like all in on abolition. And so the messages of Hawk Newsom, you know, Nikki Black, even George Gascon, who's not an abolitionist, you know, by any means, like they were all talking about love. You know, when you view another person through the lens of love, you're going to care about them. You're going to care about, you know, supporting them. And so it's a much different perspective than the punishment bureaucracy that we live in. So love was like the thing that was like, oh, that's what this is about.
That's funny that you say that. I have an essay called Love and Abolition, and it's about that. That basically fear is the emotion. As much as we talk about emotions and feelings as though it's something that should be outside of this, so we shouldn't move with our emotions. The reality is emotions is what motivates and dictates all of the things and decisions that we make. And mass incarceration is fueled by fear. That's what that's about. And in order for us to create or imagine a different world that actually addresses the root causes of issues and tries to help people in these under-resourced communities, we have to move from a place of love. So it's interesting that you say that. Also, that makes me think of this too. I too was introduced to books in my eventual journey. I became an abolitionist, and for me, it was Our Prisons Are Obsolete. Which book did you read?
That was the first one.
Yes, that's what did it for you.
That's what started it. And then I was in a class, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm on board with this, but what do we do with the violent offenders?" Right?
Yeah, that narrative.
And one of my classmates was like, "You should read Mariame Kaba. We do this till we free us."
Mm-hmm.
And then when you're done with that, come back and we'll talk. And so I read that. And then Alex Vitale's book, End of Policing.
Yeah, I saw you had Alex.
Yeah. So all of that, you know.
This is beautiful. That was honestly, that's very amazing work, and I'm really glad that you did that, because it's good to see like there being resources that we can point to, because at some point abolition has always been here, although even in these last few years it's kind of appearing to people as though it's new. This is a much larger, but I think it's been inaccessible to a lot of our everyday people. It's been something we know about in academia, in organizer spaces, but there haven't always been these resources that we could point to and pin to people. So this is beautiful that you did this, that you did the work, that you put in all this time and energy to create this resource we could reference to and show people. So I'm really glad that you were able to come here tonight so we could show our audience.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like this is. Oh no, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I just want to say regarding academia, one of the things that was frustrating to me was there's not a lot of, published work in journals on abolition.
Yeah.
And that was something, as I was doing my work, it's like I really want to facilitate the conversation, or to bridge the conversation is probably the better word, for like, if not police and prisons, then what?
Right.
And so
right.
that's as a filmmaker, because my background is in filmmaking, I saw that as my way to use my skills, to be able to do this.
If people who are at home watching this and are wondering what's the first thing they could do if they're interested in learning about abolition, how can they learn more or get more involved, where would you direct them first? Where do you think is a good starting place?
Well, I mean, my website, for the movie.
You can go ahead and plug that, Matthew.
Awesome.
Plug
no,
it.
I appreciate it.
I have a page of resources
Hell yeah.
on there.
Oh, great.
But I would say connect with your local Black Lives Matter chapters. If there's any abolitionist organizations like Critical Resistance LA, Critical Resistance LA sponsored a screening. I know that they have chapters in New York. That would be the place, is really just to get in with the groups that are in your area.
Yeah.
And reading the books and my goal with this film was to have it be another resource where it's like, okay, you want to know what this is about? Here, go watch this movie.
Yeah. Mike.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, I feel like this documentary comes at the perfect time, because what has really bothered me lately is, and this is kind of like a pretty common liberal phenomenon, is this instinct to run away from slogans once the right wing inevitably demonizes them. So the one that comes to mind is defund the police. That kind of emerged organically out of the 2020 Black Lives Matter protests. And then you see it get picked apart, and then whatever, momentum was there for it gets pushed away. And then we get into this dumb conversation about, oh, well, what if they phrased it this way or that way? Just putting aside the fact that regardless of how you phrase it, there's going to be opposition to that regardless. So I feel like to have this as a resource is really important. And one thing that drove me closer towards abolition, and I'm still learning, but I would probably fall into that camp, is that the story of Tyree Nichols, for example, for that story, you can't look at that story and not question the system, because it's not the easiest explanation, right? Like when you see Derek Chauvin have his knee on George Floyd's neck for 9 minutes, you can attribute that to, wow, that's racism. But when it comes to 5 black cops beating a black man for 3 minutes, white liberals can't necessarily just say, oh, well, that's just racism, because they can't. And it gets people to think about it as this whole system is inherently messed up.
Yeah.
It's the system itself. It's the way that cops are essentially this militarized force who's overseeing subjects and not, protecting and serving. So I feel like to have the documentary as a resource right now is really critical, because I feel like there's this huge retreat that I've seen, at least in my bubbles that I've seen, where people are running away from defend the police or defund the police because it doesn't pull well, when that's missing the entire conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. I also think people need to remember that social justice movements, they are emerged in the minority. They're never going to be the majority in polling support. That's not how it works. Obviously, you get grassroots organizations, you get resistance, you get because they're resisting what is the majority, the status quo. So obviously, yes, the majority of a country is going to support what has been the status quo that they've been indoctrinated to believe. That doesn't mean you abort mission. That's the point. It's why it's a fight. It's why it's an uphill battle. So that is very much so something we need to start taking into consideration. And you're right, Mike. People don't really understand systemic racism, what it means for something to be systemic, and they don't get that. They'll be like, oh, well, they're black ops. The system, this is embedded. We're being educated the same way. You can internalize anti-blackness as a black person the same way a white person can. And if you are in an organization that teaches you to operate a certain way, teaches you to view people a particular, certain people and certain populations a particular way, and that violence, something people need to understand. And I think we have to start, myself included, like changing how I go about this in discourse and talking about police brutality. Is people take police brutality to be the instances when they see the police kill somebody, rather than like, what is how violent, and I think Alex Vitale does a great job of talking about this in End of Policing, that violence is actually a part of policing in America. That is a part of it. That's why you see so much brutalization. That's why there's so many settlements, so many lawsuits and all these. That's why there's qualified immunity. That's why that's there. That's why it's there, because that's a part of it. So that's something we got to talk about. If that's in the entire how it's set up, and I think, you know, later on we'll probably talk about it. I saw somebody in the comments mention talking about Cop City, because I think this will eventually segue us there to how violence. Yep, Lance.
Oh, sorry. I wanted to ask Matthew a question. Something that comes up frequently, especially when you're talking to people who advocate for police abolition or stuff like that, is do you have concrete plans to put some system in place as you advocate for something such as getting rid of the current system? And or the practical answer, like you brought it up very briefly when you were talking about Angela Davis's book, when you get asked that question, like, so do you want violent criminals to just roam the streets, right? Do you come at that outside of just the, like, well, just from a philosophy, this is more about, like, you know, changing a system that incarcerates people with a punitive desire rather than like reducing those numbers? But do you have something that you've spoken to people or interviewed people about in terms of a transitional proposal, or one that would be politically effective?
Yeah, and you know, it's interesting because that was another thing in the documentary that was, you know, I didn't know what I was gonna hear in response to questions like that. And you know, the abolitionists that I interviewed were, you know, all like, this is a long-term project. You know, this is not something that can happen overnight. If the police were gone tomorrow, we'd have all other kinds of problems because we don't know how to not call the cops, you know, if our neighbor's trash can is in the wrong place, you know. So the answer is it's a multi-leveled solution, right? It's not just throw people in cages. It's resources, it's education, it's you know, reparations, it's you know, communities coming together, people learning how to talk and listen and communicate with one another, which was most of what I was doing with my consulting, you know, before the pandemic. It's like really teaching people how to connect and empathize with another person's lived experience. You know, it's like all of that stuff needs to happen. And then, yeah, if you have, you know, a violent offender or something, you know, like a crime, there would be systems in place with the communities to deal with that. That might mean removing somebody for a certain amount of time. I think, the DA George Gascon had mentioned that. He's like, you may need to remove somebody, you know, temporarily, but 95% of people who are, you know, going to jail get out, you know, so there has to be support. There has to be, I mean, it's a shift in how we view each other also.
I think what we have to, when we have these conversations, the premise is wrong, right? When people say, oh, you know, if we get rid of prisons, if we get rid of this criminal system that we have now, how are we going to address harm and address crime? And I think we have to acknowledge that we do not use that. That's not what our criminal system is here for now. That's not what we pretend that that's how we address crime or that's how we address harm, but it's not, right? We actually, the truth of it, and it's not hyperbolic language, the American criminal system, 2 million people incarcerated, 400,000 of those people have not had a trial, have not been convicted of anything. American prison system is a business, and it's a business that is very much so slavery. That's fact. That's why there's the carve out in the 13th Amendment. You're enslaving people and you're making billions of dollars, $11.6 billion to be, you know, more exact, off of those people. So it's not there. That criminal system is not there to address the harms and to prevent them. In fact, it's operating as I just did an interview recently, and it was asked specifically because the politicians discussed it, like, how is it going to affect our business? These people losing their jobs, you know, trying to decarcerate. They're very much so invested in churning people throughout the system. That's why it's the same communities, the same under-resourced communities, police like this, and they get these collateral consequences that'll never get them out of poverty. And so it continues, and that fuels this system. So I think the first thing we got to acknowledge is that we're not addressing it. That's not meant to address these issues. All of those issues, every social ill, everything that we, claim to condemn, that we slap the book at people about, is being reproduced by this system, and that is intentional. So that's the first thing. Is what we would need to do is, for the first time as a society, actually start to say, hey, how do we actually address these issues? How do we help people? How do we help solve these problems, rather than just, condemn it in rhetoric, but in actuality just produce more of the same violence and harms? And I think the second thing is, abolition is a vision of tomorrow. It's a vision of the future. No one is under the impression that they're going to close all the courts and all the prisons today. The whole idea is, all right, currently we have mass incarceration because we've invested billions and billions of dollars into addressing crime and harm this way. But if we actually began to divest from this system bit by bit, and this money that we keep putting into mass incarceration and policing, and we instead gave it to those under-resourced communities, we gave them the money for housing, for mental health, education, we would see that over time, this system, we would start to rely on it less in and of itself until we get to that place. So that's why, people will say things, well, oh, we need reform, not realizing that, yeah, the reform efforts that matter, those are the abolitionists pushing that, right? Like when I talk about bail reform a lot, it's because that's the steps. Those are the bricks that we begin to divest, right? As we get bail reform and we begin to decarcerate, and we begin to move like this, and where we don't have a criminal system, because it's a policy choice. It's a policy choice to use incarceration and prison to address these different things. And it's a policy choice America deliberately made. Always remember, like, we didn't always have mass incarceration. That was a deliberate explosion that happened when you got a president who made the choice, we are going to address it this way. So instead, it's all right, all these different reform efforts. It's not that there's a problem with reform. Reform is necessary. All these different reform efforts that actually divest from the system is necessary to get us to that abolitionist place. So that's what it's about. It's like, oh, if I actually give people what they need, you're going to see less of those harms. You're going to see less of this. You're going to see less people relying on the police. So
on that point, what do you view? And this could be a question for either Matthew or or both of you. What is the biggest barrier to any progress in this area? Is it lack of education? Is it big business? Is it capitalism? Is abolition possible under capitalism? Like these are, I think there's a lot of, barriers at play. What do you view as maybe the biggest one that needs to be, taken?
I think it's how we are indoctrinated. I think we're indoctrinated to believe in the system around us. And so even we're taught, right, that justice is synonymous with policing and prisons. We're literally taught that as little kids. It's like, oh, you need to know 911. Make sure you know that number. You play cops and robbers. Cops are the good guys. The bad guys are this. And we are fed that throughout society. So what happens is people develop this mentality that anybody in the criminal system or that has contacts with the criminal system, they are bad. They are deserving of that. They did something to be there. That ultimately the system is just. The system is about producing justice. And when you see these stories and these examples of it not doing that, rather than think of that as this is how the system is working, this is routine, this is what's happening all over the country every day, people think of it as a system that is otherwise just and meant to produce justice is making a mistake. You know what I mean? So any real serious change or any effort to really dismantle the system is met by people who their only information they really have of the system is that it's just. The first time they're really hearing, they're not getting this information because we have a society that's very invested from keeping people from knowing things, because when people know more, times change, right? That's what we've watched. We've seen in our lifetimes how much social consciousness has shifted because we're exposed to different things. And that's why you see now so much of a concerted effort on the part of politicians to keep certain information, ban the books, keep that out the schools, keep it all together, because they know if people learn more about it, they will oppose it. But what'll actually happen is if they don't learn the information about the system, if they don't know how the system works, because all they get is propaganda fed to them in the media, fed to them entertainment, fed to them and everything, what they'll hear is they'll see a George Floyd and it's like, oh, that's really sad that happened to him. But they don't oppose any of the fact that his community is so over policed, why police were called in and why police brutalize in general. They don't oppose all of the different things that made it possible. So to me, the biggest barrier, the biggest issue is the way our society is just indoctrinated around propaganda. And I think our best push to that is education, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'd agree with that. There's the financial investment in locking people up and militarizing the police. And then that was one of the things also, the propaganda part. When I really started to look back at the show, I'm going to be 50 in March. So, I grew up in the 70s, 80s, 90s with all the cop shows and Stallone. Like I was watching Cobra It was on cable like a month ago, and it was like, holy crap! It's all propaganda. He's the guy we call when nothing else works, and he kills this guy, and the reporter's like, who are you to be judge and jury? And so he grabs the reporter and he's like, tell that to his family, the guy that died, and it was like wall to wall, just like, we need the worst of the worst to protect us from the worst of the worst.
Yeah. And I think, what's funny and insidious about propaganda? People will think, oh, it's that they're not showing you the brutality and the violence. No, it's worse than that. Cop shows and Law and Order and these things show you police that break the law nonstop, and they show you them being violent, but they justify it to you like, oh, they needed to do that. Like, they treat constitutional requirements as though it's impeding the police's ability to be good. Like, how much propaganda is embedded in everything? That was actually the narrative that I just fed to you just there. You would think that came from something that wasn't Law and Order. That was the Chippendale Rescue Rangers new movie that I swear to God, I was in this house like, I can't have nothing. And then in that moment I was like, wait a second, were Chippendale the ops the whole time?
They're the Rescue Rangers.
Yes. And then you watch him watching Darkwing Duck. I'm like, oh my God, he's the ops. I'm like, the Powerpuff Girls. I'm like,
these are all my favorite shows.
The Powerpuff Girls are the main police brutality. Ooh,
But wait, Tailspin was smugglers, weren't they? Wasn't Tailspin smugglers? Like those, at least they were real ones, right? I think we got one. Yeah.
We can keep Tailspin.
Okay,
in everything. It's very much so in everything. And I think about that. Like, people think you're like, it is funny when you use like cartoons and those kind of examples, but it shows how deep it is. If you watch Powerpuff Girls and it becomes okay for the mayor to click the button the minute they see Mojo Jojo, all Mojo Jojo is doing is grocery shopping, but because they've decided Mojo Jojo is a criminal, Mojo Jojo gets his ass beat to white meat every time. Every time they see him, they just come in like, not so fast, Mojo Jojo. And they just throw him in jail, no crime, no charge. He's grocery shopping. He said, please, girls, and they beat him up. But I'm like, oh my God, that's how it comes to be. So yeah, I think to me that's the greatest impediment is the propaganda.
Yeah, there was Dr. L. Jones mentioned the statistic that 30% of all content consumed is crime related, and 50% of fictional content is crime, police and crime related. So it's like we're just immersed in it. And then there's the way that news programs handle police issues and incarceration issues. And Alex Vitale says this in the documentary. The police are almost always given the benefit of the doubt and not really questioned and not really pushed.
And they get the first statement out too, because like when you're a reporter and you're doing that 24-hour news cycle, it's the first thing you can print right away. The official police statement says this.
Yeah.
Their narrative is presented.
They
as
teach
fact.
that in school too. Like I went to school with with journalists, and they're taught to like take the police report as like gospel. Like that's what they like. It's in every level of education. This stuff, it's embedded.
And that's the issue, right? Is like, and we think that we live in this objective world because people, when you're educated like that, you think you're as someone who would be educated in journalism, they're telling you that, you think that's the way. This is the objective. By the time you're getting criticized on Twitter, you're like, what do you mean? I'm following the professional. This is the official, because all they've ever taught is that police narrative is the fact. Police are this objective arbiter of justice rather than an interest group themselves or people whose word needs to be questioned. And that's what happens. I think of that even like with being a lawyer. Like there's certain things I'll realize now, like as a defense attorney, like, oh, I went to a prosecutor mill and I was being educated like someone who's going to a prosecutor mill, but it's being presented to you like, oh, this is objective. This is the way. And so you think, oh, I'm just being this way. And it's we and we're not taught, unfortunately, we're not taught to push back. We're educated in a very consumer way. Our society wants us to be consumers. So they want us to just take everything at face value. I'm sure I don't know if I'm the only one who's been kicked out of classes before for asking too many pushback, too many follow-up questions, but they don't want you to do that. That's not what they want. So I think that's the greatest. That's what we got to be doing as a society. And that's why this is really great, Matthew. This is an amazing contribution to this effort, this movement, this discourse. And thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, real quick, where can we find the documentary?
So the website is reimaginingsafetymovie.com, and that has all the information. We're having our West Coast premiere next Friday, February 3rd, at the San Pedro Film Festival, which is in the LA County area. And so, big festival. We're going to have a panel discussion afterwards, and then I'm having impact screenings, all over the country that we're setting up with different organizations and colleges. So, yeah, that Ole's helping me with. Thank you.
Nice.
So, if you go to the website and you can subscribe, and I'll send out information. And then on social media, Reimagining Safety Movie is my Instagram. And that's the best place to follow that also.
Thank you so much.
I'll link that below the video as well, so it's easy to get to.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Matthew.
Yeah,
Thank you
amazing.
so much.
Thanks, man. Thank you for joining.
Yeah, I really appreciate that.
That's what I call structure, people. Like
That's our first professional interview.
Right.
That was a tight segment. A segment.
Yeah.
That was like a tight 30 minutes too. It was perfect. It was like
I was like, he's already leaving? What's going on? Why does he have to go? I'm liking this conversation.
I'm really proud of us. Like, we were professional. We were very professional there. Like, that was great. We should pat ourselves on the back.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you for being the leader there, Ole.
Yes. Look, I'm proud of you. Okay, now for foolishness. Somebody start.
time to be silly.
If you all wanted to talk about this, we could be opening Pandora's box. But I watched a video from Lance yesterday, and I cracked up all the way through. This was the Libtardo one.
Watching a video from Lance is opening Pandora's
box.
I
I would
love to
circle
talk
around
about
it
this.
before I dropped the name, but it was so fucking funny.
Yeah, circle around it. Yeah.
If Lance wants to give us like the rundown of the whole situation where it got to the "you're Jimmy" moment, it would make my life. It would make my fucking life.
Well, fill
Okay.
me in.
All right, so I'm gonna give. I'll pass this one off to Matt at one point because Matt really did do a lot of detective work and sleuthing and put in the hours. So I don't want to take away his glory of discovering Libtardo 1. For the uninitiated,
taken away. But go ahead.
well, I'll hand it off to you because that part's even more hilarious. But for the uninitiated, Jimmy Dore's well known to have a burner account or 2 or 3 or 4. We don't know. He's got a lot of accounts on Twitter. Likes to sometimes use those accounts to speak about himself, or his wife is using them. Right, Matt? I'm not off on that. It's either him or his wife.
Pretty sure it's him at this point, but
yeah,
it could be his wife for some of them. Yeah.
Either way, it's stuff you'd expect. When you're starting out, the game's the game. It's hard to make it in social media, so you maybe start a couple accounts to validate yourself every now and then. You'll be like, I could write something out and be like, yeah, and then use my other account to be like, Lance is right. Lance is so great and handsome. Everyone loves Lance and talks about how cool he is too. That kind of thing. So that's the equivalent of what's going on here. Anyways, I start feuding with Jimmy online because I made a post about how he was laughing. Like, first off, he laughed at Rebel News. Rebel News is a far right, Breitbart-like equivalent in Canada. You should not ever have to give it up to Rebel News. Even if they're going after the head of a pharmaceutical company, they're going to ask them, what about the 5G magnetism? They're not going to actually ask good questions. So they did that to Greta Thunberg, and they asked a whole bunch of silly questions, why is it so cold here? What about the global warming? Things like that. And I said, it's so sad that Jimmy was laughing at this as a gotcha. And so, Jimmy's fans must have shown him. He replies and immediately was like, oh, blah, blah, blah. You lied about me. I pushed back. You're all liars over there. And then he went back and forth with some other people in the thread and eventually forgot that he was using his actual blue checkmark Jimmy Dore account because he starts speaking.
I will bring the tweets up.
All right.
Hilarious.
Yeah, it's so fucking good.
But he's straight up, like. I woke up to this. I'll have you all know. I woke up and I'm like in my bed and I'm scrolling through, and then all of a sudden I saw this. I was like, no, you didn't just write this in the third person. Oh, the royal we.
So this right here, this is why I don't have an alt account. This right here, this is saying you cannot live down. This happened to even one of my friends, like a figure onto it, and I was just like.
right.
I will say though, potentially in his defense, maybe he's trying to be the character in Seinfeld who always called himself Jimmy. And his name was Jimmy, and it created this whole issue with Elaine. So maybe that's what he's trying to pull off here. I don't know.
Maybe he suddenly started to refer to himself in the third person.
Yes.
If we're being charitable here.
Why, like, your Jimmy has me fucking screaming.
And you know what's awesome about this? He takes ratios so seriously. Like, I watched the segment the other day of his. He was saying that he was proven right about COVID because of a ratio that he himself helped make. He's like, look at this. Their own fans are turning against them. This proves that I was right. It's so good that I was proven right on all of this, you know? And now he's just getting blown out of the water because he
That's
is
so
Jimmy.
embarrassing. That's why I just curse people out with my whole chest. Like, I don't understand. Like, why not just be like, fuck you, Lance? Like, I was just fuck you, block.
Here, I'm gonna bring up this video, by the way, but no, sorry, keep talking.
No, well, it's also embarrassing that you don't have like a main fan that could have taken that flagship for you. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why do you have to do it? Like, I'm sure you have fans who will come at Lance. Be like,
oh, hey, and they defended him afterwards. They were like, "Oh, what, Surfs? Like, you've never had someone else use your social media account?" I was like, "No,
no.
How rich and famous do you think I am? I have like a PR person? Are you kidding me?"
So this is when LA meets Jimmy, and keep in mind when Jimmy's talking about himself. He's Jimmy.
Look at me. Look at me. Come on. I'm stretching right in front of you. Hey, a smile. We made contact. All right, one more stretch and then go talk to him.
You know, Jimmy is pretty sweet on you.
It looks like a young Jimmy too.
Oh, yeah. Jimmy's watching you. You're just Jimmy's type.
Oh, really?
Jimmy's new in town. Jimmy doesn't really know anyone.
Oh, well, I'd like to get to know.
Jimmy would like to get to know you.
Anyways, eventually, it continues on, and she finds out that he's Jimmy.
It's her reaction. You're Jimmy.
She's like, wait, no, that was Jimmy's friend. Wait, no, that's Jimmy.
It's so good because the whole reason that he ended up doing this was because Lance had shared a clip of him with the Rebel News and Greta Thunberg, and like he was defending them, basically harassing her for 20 minutes about the dumbest things. Like he was basically pretending as if Rebel News had legitimate questions to ask to Greta, as if they weren't trolls. Like they're asking her to basically explain the difference between climate and weather, so she naturally just disregards what they had to say, and she went along with her business. But one thing that I have to say, with regard to the Libtard 01 saga, I do want Matt Binder to look into some additional accounts because, so I'm not sure if you saw this. So the Vanguard responded and they shared a clip of Jimmy Dore kind of running away from some conversation that he had about Ukraine. And so, they were kind of juxtaposing that with the Greta thing where he was criticizing Greta because Greta wouldn't answer basic questions, wouldn't defend her position. And so the Vanguard was like, well, what about you doing this? And so they shared that clip on Twitter. And then Jimmy Dore did not respond directly, but he went through their thread and retweeted individual replies to the Vanguard of them criticizing. So these retweets in particular are very sussy. And I feel like those could potentially be the next Libtard 01. Libtard 02, might I say. So there's some stuff for you there, Matt.
While I have y'all here on this, right? Because obviously I was late to
look into it.
Yeah. I was late to the Jimmy Dore. I only barely know who he is now. I have some information and I usually just try to keep but I know this. I have realized that anybody who likes Jimmy Dore seems to hate us. Like, when I hate us, I mean y'all and now me too. So might as well just
I apologize for
You're welcome, Mole.
No, I be getting so much I catch so many sprays because of y'all people. They just be shooting me all week. I be like, I don't even know these
It's because they're literally right wingers, and most of them I think know that. A few of them maybe don't realize it, but I think at this point most of them realize what the hell's going on.
They do know. There's a meme maker who loves Jimmy Dore who makes memes of all of us, and there was one video of Salt Bae sprinkling us into a toilet. And my face that they used was like smiling really loud, and then they photoshopped Jimmy's face on Salt Bae laughing, and also Tucker Carlson and some other right winger. I can't remember who, but like these are right wingers. Like they know it. Maybe there's a few leftists who think that he's left wing at this point, but I like it's got to be a small.
They so lack that they become right. You know what I mean? Like they don't even realize.
Horseshoe theory come to life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mike, in that clip that he got mad about, he was starting to like question out loud if the reason Greta was doing what she was doing was because of autism. And I was like, this was like what the right was putting out there, what, like 6 years ago, I want to say, was the kind of like super yikesy takes that they would come out. Like, well, you know, she's acting that way because of the autism. Like, what the fuck are you saying right now? You know, it's 2023. Yeah, he is.
How old is he? Because he looks very old to me.
Yeah, but there's old people who aren't assholes. Like Bernie Sanders is not like doing the shit, you know?
But, like, why is he on these people's head? Like, I don't really. It seems to me the only time I see him, and don't nobody, please don't get me in no bullshit. Don't tag me this man. I don't know him. I don't let his personal. But the only time I ever see anything from him or any mention from him or his world, it just seems like just trying to like dunk on other people that you allege to be on your same side of the fence, but you're like this litmus test. So it just feels like that all the time. It just always feels like petty, really petty things. Like, oh my God, like the Dore, like this whole, I was right. Every time I see him, something about him on the timeline, it's like,
yeah, I know.
Like, I'm like, what? Does we have a tally somewhere? Like, why are you? Like,
right again, vindicated.
Every time I see him, like, okay, guys.
That's why, like, anytime someone brings up the idea that the left is they're too, they're too puritanical, they're purists, they're all this thing. What pops in my head are people like Jimmy Dore who pretend to be on the left, but are on the right, make money pretending they're on the left. All they do is attack the left. Like, you're never going to get rid of those people. Like, you can criticize the left all you want about how pure we are or whatever. Like, I'm very welcoming. I want to educate. I don't expect people to be, to be boring with the right position. I used to be basically conservative. Like, I understand people can grow and change. People like Jimmy are always going to exist because there's always going to be that incentive there to try and make money off of pretending you're on the left. Whereas, like, is there a right winger in media that's like really well known who only attacks the right? Like, does that exist?
I just find it
There's no fucking money to do that.
No, there isn't.
Good
No, that's an
question.
excellent point, David. There isn't. You only ever see that from our side of it. Whatever kind of business, you only ever see it from our side. It's this constant. Why are you calling yourself a
conservative who
leftist?
hates the right.
You're this, like, and I'm just like, it feels so unproductive. And I think about this. I'm like, are you actually producing content? Are you actually advocating for anything? Or are you just shitting on everybody else's? Are you just responding to what they're doing? And that's what it feels to me like, oh, people know Greta, so now you shitting on Greta. Oh, this, da da da. Every time I look, I see you're like dunking on some other commentator, and I'm like, are you saying anything worthwhile if all you do is monitor what the other commentators say and be mad at that and shit on that and galvanize your support or lack of around that? Like, why are you trying to make yourself some kind of little demigod? Like, bro, just say what you have to say and shut the fuck up. Like, you know what I mean? Like, people need to go with it and they don't. Like, but I don't understand the need to. I feel like, if I think about it, I don't know many people that are like staunchly in the commentator space and abolitionists in the way that I am. And I'm not like, every time something policing happens, I'm like, let me kick y'all in the chest. I'm not on Twitter like, yeah, I fucking told y'all.
You're a real abolitionist. You're a fake abolitionist. Like,
correct again. Vindicated. Hell yeah.
I think like it would be different. I understand. I would get it more if they were having. If we weren't if you're not the people that are the face of something and you're making a larger conversation, if you're just saying something to your friends and privacy in the but you're the person people are going to for discourse and conversation. So now you wasted time and energy, and a bunch of people are now focused on some stupid shit, like criticizing somebody else or commenting on that, as opposed to actually running on, like, advocating for anything. It's just so annoying.
My favorite is when they bring someone like Marjorie Taylor Greene or Trump and be like, they're further left than AOC is. It's just like some bullshit.
David, I just sent you a video in the chat about that very thing. It's only 1 minute long, but it's exactly about that. I had a molecular biologist on the show. Sorry, I can't speak right now. A molecular biologist on my show yesterday. His name is Dr. Wilson from Debunk the Funk with Dr. Wilson. Everyone go subscribe to his YouTube channel. He's super based. He debunks all the right wing conspiracies on vaccines and COVID and science.
Yeah,
but he found so many things wrong with what Jimmy Dore was doing here. It was monumental. Thing after thing after thing.
I love the fedora. Yeah.
That she's out lefting the left all the time. She was out lefting the squad on Ukraine. She's out lefting them on COVID, and she's telling the truth about COVID. So she says, remember when they told you not to take ivermectin and hydroxychloroquine to help you with COVID? That's all this can muster when he's smearing people who are right. And this guy ratioed him. He told me, you should be ashamed of yourself. He got 117 likes. This guy's only got 33. His own followers are done with this bullshit. Bullshit. You should be ashamed of yourself. So that's why I'm showing you this, because it's encouraging. Because for 2.5 years now, I've had a 1 million pound weight on my shoulders, wondering what's going on in the world. No one will listen to science. No one will listen to logic.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
Ivermectin works like a motherfucker.
Oh my!
Now, I can't say it works on.
He is not
COVID-19.
still saying this in 2023.
You gotta.
You should be ashamed of bullshit.
That's nice. Oh my god!
You know what? Respect. I'm not even. No, nobody get mad. This is just genuinely uncanny. This ain't even me trying to roast him. But he don't look just like Rumpelstiltskin from Once Upon a Time. That don't look the same man. That's not the same man. That's not the same man.
Just imagine the fedora on him, right?
Right? Like that was like
The fedora on top, yeah.
Yeah, he's tipping his fedora to Marjorie, milady. Oh, I cannot deal with it. People need to understand, though, that he has to pretend to be on the left in order for the grift to be lucrative. Because think about someone like Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin, as the gay conservative, has real utility. He can say, no, this homophobic bill isn't homophobic. But like, what does Jimmy bring to the right that's like unique? He can be brought on as the leftist to explain to Tucker Carlson how the left is wrong. But once he just says, no, I really am a conservative like all of you, then what's left? Comedian? He doesn't do comedy anymore. Like the only comedy is Mike McRae doing hilarious impressions that Jimmy Dore reacts to. That's the extent of his comedy career. So like his only utility is to be the leftist. That's the one thing that sets him apart, which is why he hasn't just come out as a conservative. But I mean, he's deeply conservative. He literally agrees with the right on like 9 out of 10 issues. The one thing that he gets credit for is he supports Medicare for all, although he didn't support the candidate in 2020 who supported Medicare for all. But you get what I'm saying, right? Like,
personal beliefs don't mean shit when you have a platform. It's how do you use your platform?
Right.
How do you use your power? You can. Oh, I believe Medicare for all. Yeah, but all you fucking do is shit on every single person that like supports
that advocates for it. Yeah.
No, dead ass though. But people didn't like. I was on Rising a couple days ago talking about the police. LAPD killed Keenan Anderson, and I basically said that to Robbie. Robbie's always like, "Oh, I'm skeptical of the police." He says that as a blanket statement, but then any conversation we have, you just caping for the police. I'm like, no, I'm like, no, you're not. She like, let's keep it real. We need to stop allowing commentators, representatives, and people to just make blanket statements about what their belief is, and then everything contradicts it, and we just. It's like, well, how could you can't just, and the problem with it is they say it so that it lends it credibility. If you say, I'm skeptical of the police, but every time you caping for the police, they're like, well, they're skeptical of the police and they're on the side of, so you know what I mean? And that's the same way. It's like, oh, I'm leftist. So when you're shitting on everything left, it's like, oh, well, that's not the same. Then people lend it more credibility, like they're being a reasonable, rational mind that's assessing this objectively because they announced that they are skeptical, even though, so.
Yeah. You have politicians do this too, like Josh Hawley pretends he's like a working class senator. He worked in he was a corporate lawyer, I believe, and now he just introduced this Stop Pelosi Act, I think it's called, where it's about stopping stock trading like in Congress, which is fine. But when you call it Stop Pelosi, you're not really going to pass it with a Democratic Senate, are you? Like, it's so clearly just an attempt to try and gain attention, gain notoriety, get on camera. It's not any serious attempt to actually pass anything.
Exactly.
I saw the serious thing the Republicans are trying to pass right now, and it looks absolutely absurd. It's like sales tax to go up to 30%, and then all other taxes eliminated, like estate tax, payroll tax. Like that's the actual proposal. And I was like, wait, you're going to eliminate estate tax. You're going to eliminate payroll tax. I'm assuming corporate tax is probably not far away. And then pass everything off to the consumer, who now have to pay a 30% tax. Like, this is going to be one of the most regressive tax proposals I think I've heard someone say outside of like a Looney Tunes cartoon, right? Like, why would anyone
that
hear
is so
or see that?
blatantly
Like,
anti-worker, like
yes,
and for them to pretend otherwise and to have morons to go along with that messaging is so insane.
But they know their base is dumb enough to fall for it. You know how many everyday run of the mill Republicans I saw defending the plan online by going, but it eliminates the income tax. Well, your income tax is not 30%. Income tax is not 30%.
All the things you buy, all your gas all year. Think about this for a second.
Like,
think about 30% surcharge. Everything groceries.
People,
oh man,
working people buy a lot more than rich people do. Like, it's just that simple. Like, the percentage will hit you a lot more than it will hit them. Like, they don't have to worry about 30% tax on the things they buy because you're the one who's buying everything.
And they're the ones that have all the assets, that have properties that would be taxed, like that would no longer have to be taxed.
Yeah. I used to
also I forget what the percentage is, but there is a large percentage of people who get a lot of their income taxes back come tax season. You would not be getting anything back from your 30% sales tax. You're gonna keep all those receipts and write things off. You're not doing that if you have like a full-time job. Unless you're a freelancer or something.
Did you see the discourse that's been going on recently? Because someone online started going to New York subways and being like, I am keeping track of every single person who's jumping the till right now, and I've already noticed like 22 people have 22 people.
It's DC.
Oh, sorry, in DC, yeah. And then, of course, there's this massive section of the internet that was just like, people celebrating this, obviously don't want to live in society where social contracts are a part of the game. They hate capitalism. They hate neoliberalism. They hate people participating in blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, oh, and they were also being like, all the lefties who say that they want to support like a Nordic model don't seem to realize that everyone here is breaking the social contract and the fabric of society. I was like, you're doing this in reverse. There is no social safety net for them. I mean, like, I don't get the whole let's vilify the poor people online, or people who even are doing it. Maybe they can afford it, but it saves them $6 a day, and that's a big difference. 10 days in a row, $60 means a lot. Who gives a fuck? Like, we should be talking about why aren't their needs being met in other ways, not being like, I cannot believe another 3 people aren't following the rules. Flimshaw, I'm so mad about this.
Throw more police at it. That'll save
we need
us
more,
money.
more police in there. Beat them, make them pay.
It's crazy.
Yeah, we talked about this earlier today on the Majority Report when I was on, and it's just so infuriating, because like the average person, the everyday working person commuting to work, they don't care that people are jumping the turnstile.
No.
Or they don't care. They really don't. Like, they just don't do it because they don't want to get caught themselves. But they don't like start yelling or following someone who does jump the turnstile going, you should have paid. They don't care. They mind their own business. They don't. In fact, I bet if they see someone who gets caught getting a ticket, they're probably thinking to themselves, better, be more careful next time you do it. Like, just watch out next time. Like, because you know what? We all fucking do it when we're able to. Let's just be clear. Whether you're a teenager in high school or you're a 90-year-old person in New York City, when that emergency door opens so someone with a wheelchair or a mother with a stroller can get by, everyone who's going to pay that turnstile just moves on over to go through the emergency door for free.
I mean, the line's faster. I'm just following people in line. I'm not doing it because I love crime. I'm just trying to follow people.
And those trains are moving regardless. Like, those trains might as well have more people on them. Like, you know what I mean? Those trains are going to move.
And like the MTA here in New York, at least, they just used this rhetoric as the reason behind why they want to raise the fare another 20% next time around. They do this every time they want to raise the fare. And what do we see that happen to the service itself? Nothing. They don't put that money towards the service. They just pay the people involved at the upper echelons of the MTA more money. That money doesn't go actually into the service. Have you guys ever seen if you're who lives in New York here? There you go. Have you ever?
I was pointing to that square.
after the fare raises, have you ever looked around and went, "Oh wow, the stations are so much cleaner and nicer. They must have, they must have put that towards upkeep." And never. Like just this week, the Long Island Railroad announced that the Jamaica Station is now stopping at Grand Central Station. The Jamaica Station trains are now going into Manhattan are now stopping at Grand Central for the first time ever. It is the first expansion of the Long Island Railroad in over 100 years. How many times have the fares been raised?
Fair raises
in the past 100 years.
No fact. Absolutely, you're absolutely right. You spitting now, Bender.
Like, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. If people are jumping the turnstiles, it's because the fare price is too much for them. It's too high. And what do you want them to do? You're going to say they should go to work, get a job. Well, how do you think they should get to fucking work? They got to use the trains. Then it's like a chicken and the egg scenario if you're going to argue that. You know what the best solution here is? The MTA should be free. The trains, the transit, the public transit should be free. How do you pay for it? Well, you tax the wealthy New Yorkers who can pay for it,
and windfall tax on energy companies as well.
You what's going to happen if you made the public transit in New York City and other major metropolitan areas free? You would get all the businesses in that city coming out going, holy shit, revenue's way up. People are visiting our locations more. Why? Because they can get there free. They don't have to factor in the extra cost of travel. So they're able to actually, A, go there without worrying about that cost, and then B, maybe even spend a little extra money if they did have that money. I mean, it would be such a great thing for everybody for public transit in major cities to be free.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
I'm reading the comments. That's what I've been doing at this. So I just wanted to take this opportunity to say Mudslinger 888 is back. Yo, I really examined the comments. All jokes aside, my man's is a clear racist at this point. Like, I'm like, that's what it is. But this time it's because I really examined this also. If you actually look at the time, I talk a lot less in actual timing on the show than y'all. But there are a lot of segments y'all are talking about that I'd be here like, the air goes over my head. I breathe and I speak, and this man is mad in the comments. Talks about nothing else. He goes, the Loudmouth Show starring Alimi, for fuck's sake. So this time I just want to say, Mudslinger 888, please suck a dick. Go to hell. Like, you do not have to watch this show, and I do not have to hear your mouth every week. Please kiss my black ass, okay? Thank you.
Alimi's talking. No, not again.
On your side. Fuck you and the Asian who behaves with you. Y'all can all kiss my ass. Thank you.
Let the men speak. Let the men speak.
My man's a real hater. It's like, I'm like, oh my god, what is your problem? What am I doing to you other than bringing jokes and peace? Like,
men are being silenced, okay? We can't stand for this.
Yes, I've had enough.
Can I put him on blast? Is that okay, David? I found it.
Yeah, go. Do what you need to do.
There he is! Get him, everyone!
Oh, yes. Okay, that's what it is. And also, I saw somebody earlier in the comments say that their dream collab is for me and Hassan to do something. I want you to know, Hassan has reached out to me. We're working on it. It'll happen.
Nice.
Make sure you shout out the podcast.
Yeah,
we need that audience over here.
Tell Hassan to come on the Leftist Mafia. It'll give us the life that we need.
He's not gonna fucking do that.
I'm gonna raise it to him. I'm gonna bring it to him for real.
He will. I think he would do it.
What I really want to get is I want to get David Simon, the creator of The Wire, to agree to come do episodes. That's what I want. That's what I really want
That'd be pretty cool. In college, I did like a paper on, because I was like a huge fan of The Wire back in like the early 2000s. I did like a paper on David Simon.
Yeah.
So his views now, he's tweeted some things. I'm like, I don't know if I agree with that.
I ratioed him before, but I don't think he realized that when he followed himself. Like, we're gonna pretend like that didn't happen.
We had like a fight on Twitter once or something. I forget what it was about, but yeah, we went back. I'm like, yo, I like you. What's going on here?
Yeah, I've heard he gets very upset when people like bring up propaganda or anything like that, or yada yada yada. But I want to bring him for the purposes of let's talk The Wire. Like I want to bring him in the least adversarial,
cool.
The Wire information possible. And if there's anything negative, I'm gonna tell him to his face is that I don't care what you say. Season 2 is not. I don't care what you say. Yes, it's necessary, but you're not going to convince me that it's more. You're not going to manipulate me. I won't be gaslit like this. Season 2 is boring. I don't care what he says.
The last couple episodes, though, there's like some payoff for like a couple of those characters, and it's like, oh, okay, there's. I agree with you. It's probably the worst. It has to be the worst season.
Was that with like at the boatyard or some shit?
Yeah, the shipyard.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the white people season. It's with the Polish people and at the dock.
Right. I didn't like that season too.
I remember
you're talking The Wire.
A lot of the fans hated that season because it was just a complete change from the first season. And then season 3 is like the best season. Like season 3 or 4, my favorite. I go back between the two, but
yeah. No, season 2, when I was watching The Wire, so it was like, okay, at this point, I think I'm alone in this. D'Angelo Barksdale is my heart, the way I love D'Angelo. I'm sick about why nobody cares about him and his fate as much as I do. I'm sick. But anyway, season 1 ends and I'm dying, to find out what happened to my boy D'Angelo. And then the season starts. Now imagine you've been watching the show and there's been nothing but Negroes. And then the show starts, I'm like, what the fuck is this? I was like, HBO. And I got HBO put on something new. I like turned it. I was like, back. What I clicked? What happened here? I'm like, what's happening? What was the docs? Like it's so long. I was like, this is what happened. Oh, this is bamboo. I have been hoodwinked. What is going on? Like,
I mean, his reasoning is that the show's about the city of Baltimore and each kind of area, like basically like how Baltimore functions and all the corruption within it.
Yeah,
so for him,
can't
the
introduce
like a big
characters like
piece
that,
of how some of the drugs come in and the kingpins and that kind of thing. Like I get his reasoning, but in terms of the execution, I know it isn't the best season.
You go from giving people like Stringer Bell and Omar and characters like that, and then all of a sudden it's like the docs. Like I totally know that feeling.
There's payoff though, like he keeps you going. Season 2, you're like, and then season 3, it's like, oh, I waited for this finally.
Season 3 is very, very good. Yes, season 3.
Yeah, that's true. Who are your favorite characters, or who was the saddest death to you in The Wire?
Okay, so
are we I guess we're giving spoilers.
Cinder, have you seen The Wire?
I feel like we're in hardcore spoiler.
I don't want to spoil things for you.
It's all right. I'm never gonna watch.
It came out in 2003. It is literally regarded as like the best TV show of all time. If Binder cared, he would have watched it.
I'm just not a big TV
Do not
person.
You see, so Binder's not even hearing us. Who is your favorite? And we'll
I'm not sure if this is I don't know if it's the saddest, but it's the most shocking. And I watched the show twice. The second time with my friend, and I was waiting 4 seasons, or I think it was 4 or 5 seasons. I think it was 4 seasons for this moment because I wanted to watch his face when Omar got shot, and it was just completely out of the fucking blue. And it was a
wait. You weren't looking at the TV. You were looking at him. Were you just like? Were you like this the whole time?
It was, and after like reading about it and like why they did it that way, I thought it was brilliant. Like basically. His reasoning was like it doesn't have to be like some, because they're building up this thing where it's like it's Omar and the cops and I forget who's a third individual in that whole triangle there, but it's like, oh, there's gonna be a showdown, and then it's like he's fucking killed out of nowhere for no reason. Like it was fucking brilliant.
Yeah, they said they wanted to show that, like, no matter as how much lore is around him and how big of a character this is, that once you're in this game, you are disposable and you will meet an end like that. You don't necessarily get an end as grand as you were. That shit was crazy. Also, side note, Michael K. Williams, rest in peace, is Bahamian. His mom is Bahamian. His mom is from the island that I am from. Love that.
I will say though, sorry,
he was so talented.
The saddest death for me is Bodhi. It's been a while, but because I feel like there was like he had that conversation with McNulty. It was like things were looking up for him a little bit, and then it just like he was just done.
That broke my soul too. That very much. I watch The Wire like on a regular basis, so this is all real fresh for me. I love The Wire. I'm obsessed.
I don't remember a lot of this. It's been so long. I watched it in like 2014, 2013. So it's been a really long time for me.
It's a good rewatch. Yeah, it's up there with shows that I've rewatched a lot.
And now it's in like HD widescreen. Like I've only seen it in like 4:3. Like I haven't even seen the widescreen version. I've just watched it twice in the old like TV version. But no, it's
the creators of The Wire's new TV show is really good too. Baltimore. I don't know if you've seen it.
I started so what's the name?
Oh, sorry, We Own This City. That's it. We own.
We Own This City.
Yeah,
I began watching
really
it,
good.
and for me, because I cover a lot of this stuff now, it's hard for me to get into like real life drama, like dramas about real life around this shit, because it's like this is my job. Like when I'm watching, it's like I'm working right now. It's so fucking depressing.
Who said Snoop didn't die? Snoop did die. What you mean? Michael killed Snoop in season.
Oh yeah, that was
so
That's
sad.
one of the most iconic scenes.
I think that might have been the saddest for me. I think that would have been the saddest.
The saddest when Snoop dies.
Yeah,
Snoop is a psychopath. Snoop, when Snoop the psychopath
maybe I'm
dies.
mixing
Yeah,
Alright,
but as a character, she was enjoyable.
No,
I got the characters mixed up.
Right.
Let me see.
True. Snoop is a raging psychopath. If there's anybody who needed to be put down, Snoop, Marlo, and Chris. Snoop, Marlo, and Chris were the boogeymans of the hood. They needed to go. Okay,
That's true.
They had real.
Oh no, I'm not
gangster
thinking of Snoop.
shit
Hold on.
Yeah, no. Snoop is when Mike pulls the gun on her and she's like,
yeah.
"How my hair look, man?" He's like, "You look good, girl," and he shoots her. It's real iconic. But yeah, nah. Snoop's death can't be sad. Iconic, but sad. No, she needs. My girl's just in the hardware store, just examining which screw, like which screwdriver.
That was the season opener. That was the season opener for that was good.
And the actress Felicia Pearson, she wasn't a real actor. They picked her up off the street. Like in
Wallace.
Baltimore.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
Wallace is what I'm thinking of. Wallace's death was the saddest death for me. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
season one. Yeah.
I remember that scene because that one actually singed me. Where it was like friends killing friends, but they just seemed so young, and I was like, this is so savage. Just standing there like, oh no, and you know what's gonna happen too. That was hard.
It break my heart and soul. I think what is really crazy about the whole show, I think is sad when you think about it, is the moment at the end where they go and see Poot, who is Bodhi's right hand, and Poot is just working in Foot Locker, and you realize like, wow, this would have dissolved just a little bit longer. Like these men, all of them dead off of this thing that just ended. Poot just now working at Foot Locker, and Bodhi dead. Like if Bodhi had just turned around, or Wallace is like, full lives gone to something that's just over. Avon and them is just not there anymore, and I'm like, wow. Meanwhile, your boy's dead.
Okay, we got to talk about something that Matt Binder has both seen and knows.
Keep going.
I mean, the most you can just like
spoilers are so ongoing. It's not called spoilers when a show has been out like 20 years, bro. Like you can't. Like I'm pretty sure the Wire.
Season 5 ended, I think, 2007.
Okay, and wait long enough, and you'll forget the spoilers. Like I don't remember half the shit that they're talking about.
I watched that shit in my college dorm where I was downloading like the FTPs and shit.
The Wire,
LimeWire,
21 years ago.
Wow,
holy shit!
Yeah,
so it started, right?
2002.
Yeah.
Wow!
And it ended, I think, 2007. I think
my buddy was watching the Lord of the Rings, the second one, the movie trailer, and at the very end of the movie trailer, they reveal that obviously Gandalf comes back. He's like, "Whoa, spoilers, much?"
Hold
Wait, hold on, and then someone behind him right away was like, "The books were written like 54 years ago, asshole." I was like, "Oh, fair."
Spoiler.
Yeah.
No, you want to hear a story though? Okay, so obviously, I love Harry Potter. That obviously J.K. Rowling's the devil. It's unfortunate that Harry Potter was written by no one. Anyway, I love Harry Potter. So when
he who has no name,
very overrated. Honestly, I think it's very overrated. But continue.
Whoa, no, just stone cold on that.
I've never read a single book or watched a single movie.
I've read the third one. I have
really.
You know what's crazy?
No idea.
You said that, and tears came to my eyes. Like,
Overrated. It's very overrated.
What? Overrated? You read the books and you feel that way?
I read the first book.
Oh, you know what? Don't talk. I don't want to hear nothing. You read the first book and it's overrated anyway. You have to read all of them to appreciate. I can't even gas the writing no more because she got to be out here being a transphobic bigot. Oh,
I'm gonna share a video with you, and it's gonna ruin your world. I'm so sorry, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna send you Sean's video, and it's gonna change all of your opinions.
Oh,
on
Sean's
Harry
video.
Yeah, Sean's video is so good. Yeah,
On Harry Potter.
yeah, on the books. On the books. No, on the books.
It's just not that. It's. I don't get the hype over it. It's like it's okay. It's nothing special. It's nothing groundbreaking. It's nothing crazy.
What you mean it's not groundbreaking? What you mean?
I mean, it doesn't deserve all the adulation that it receives. It's just not that great. Who's your favorite character? Is it Cho Chang?
There's other. That's a character. Oh, that's a character's name. That's not even the worst one.
By the way.
Yeah, that's not even the worst one. Oh no, it gets much worse. It gets much worse.
I hate each and every one of you.
Did you like the Jewish goblins running the bank?
You are not going to ruin this for me by pointing out.
He hasn't even mentioned the fact that there is a race of people known as slaves in the book, and their freedom. Only one character talks about actually freeing them. That's Hermione, and Hermione is mocked ruthlessly by the other characters for it. And at which point, eventually, that whole plot line is let go. They the house elves, that entire thing, they let it go. She's like, we should probably not do this and have slaves. And then every other character is like, they actually prefer it because it's a better life for them. They like being slaves. Yeah. That same logic. Yes. Yes.
I let y'all have things.
Yeah, the house elves.
I will suck joy from every motherfucker. I will never let y'all rest.
Those were Death Eaters, right? That's the name of it. Death Eaters, I think.
I will say, I think this is my opinion. I'm not sure how the rest of you feel. I think it's ridiculous to criticize people over liking art that may have been created by some shitty person or some bad. I just think that's not going to solve any problem. Like, if you don't like something, like for example, the new Harry Potter game coming out, if you don't want to buy it because J.K. Rowling's a transphobe, then that's fine, don't buy it. But I don't think it makes sense to ridicule other people who want to play the game just because they want to play the game. Like it's that's my opinion.
Well, I agree. It might not make sense, but it's hella fun.
It's not welcoming. If you want to build a movement, we can't be gatekeeping.
Yeah. Well, like for me, like I
want no Harry Potter fans in my left.
I cannot separate the art from the
only
author,
muggles.
So I can't play Hogwarts Legacy. But I will say my history with Harry Potter is very interesting. So when I was growing up, when Harry Potter came out, my family was very evangelical. And so that was like the most satanic thing to ever be created, essentially, like in my family's mind. So it was taboo. And finally, when I was an adult, I watched all of the Harry Potter movies. Didn't read the books. They were okay, not bad. Yeah, not too shabby. But yeah, I can no longer separate the art from the artist. But if you like it, I don't think that makes you a bad person. I think it makes you a more peaceful person if you can do that. Because for me, like, there's so much more art that I would enjoy if I could separate the art from the artist. Although it kind of depends on like what their alleged crime was, right? But I guess it varies.
Well, what do you mean, Mike? In the case are you trying to say, Mike? Are you trying to carve out something there, Mike, so someone can enjoy Adolf Hitler's paintings without separating the art
his
from
dog
the artist?
paintings?
Because y'all clearly not gonna let me have nice things, so let me just address all substantive points made. I think there's a difference between supporting the art if the artist is still making that money and how they use that money. Like in the case of R. Kelly, when R. Kelly was out and the supporting of R. Kelly's career is using that money to run a whole conglomerate of foolishness of trapping and torturing women and things like that. So I felt like in the case of R. Kelly, contributing to his making money and his doing well was literally contributing to the direct harm of people. So I feel like, that's a distinction. In the case of, I don't play nobody's video game. So, I love Harry Potter independent of JK from before. But I mean, to my knowledge, I've heard she isn't a part of this video game thing.
She's not, which also makes it interesting because like she didn't make the game herself, right? Like it's her property, and I'm sure she's making money off of it. That's
she would get licensing fees and like royalties.
Yeah, I'm sure there's licensing, of course. Yeah, but she's not in there like programming the game, like or making the art.
Programming the game.
She's too busy.
I don't.
on
She does
Twitter.
not know how to code. No.
No, she does not know how to code. No.
Yeah, but to Harry Potter, Mike, similarly with the Christian issue. So the Bahamas is constitutionally Christian. So we have a thing called the Christian Council that needs to be disbanded. It's everything ruined in our country. Anyway, the Christian Council movies have to be approved by the Christian Council, and the Christian Council was really against Harry Potter at first, and it was a lot to get it there. But you'll see how my family was grooming me to be a lawyer my whole life. I used to have to like present arguments, like make presentations to get something, to be able to watch something or do something. So I made a whole presentation to my Grammy about how Harry Potter is just the battle of good and evil, and that's the same shit as everything else. You got me watching all these other fairy tales and happily ever afters. I was like, ain't there witches in that? Ain't there this? Blah 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 blah. Seems like, well, my grandma's like, points were made. So I got to watch Harry Potter. I think I am a person. I like the Harry Potter books. I think the Harry Potter books are greater than the movies. I'm not like it's not the movies that I'm in love with, but I think the books were fantastic. I don't care what nobody says. Yes, I know I know of all every problematic, bigoted thing that's in there. All that's true. I have no defense. Send her to jail. And then for my original story, I was gonna tell, because we were talking about spoilers. So when Harry Potter, the last book came out, I was in Belgium. I was in Europe, and I was in Belgium, and it was like a holiday, and so like every bookstore was closed but one. And I remember I like racing. Did I push a child to get the book? It's not that I'm saying that I pushed a child, but I would just say it's important to caution that I too was young myself. I was only about 13. Like, so yeah, I may have pushed a child to get the book because it was a frenzy in this one bookstore to get the book. So I get it, and then I go to the airport and I'm reading my book, and someone just walks up to me. This is like the day after the book comes out. Someone walks up to me like, Snape dies. like yeah, literally.
That's wrong.
In the airport, I'm like, you evil son of a bitch. Like that right there. I looked in the face.
Terrible.
Yeah, the day after, but like book in my hand, just.
That's just evil right there. That's so mean.
That's sociopathic behavior. Like, why would you fucking do that to somebody?
Yeah.
Especially a child. Like, you go to a child, and be like, here's how this book ends. Like,
dickhead. Someone asked what's my favorite Harry Potter movie and book. I think my favorite book is probably Half-Blood Prince. I feel like that's not a popular, but I like Half-Blood Prince. I like the whole idea of Snape's book with all his I like that coming back to play. It's just Snape just being powerful across generations. I love it. Look at that. He wrote some shit.
Half-Blood Prince. Is that the name of the book? Sounds
Binder?
very race sciencey. Half-Blood. Okay.
The series is very race sciencey.
Binder, I will read this one time.
There's some quantum.
Did Douglas Murray help her with that book?
Went on Sam Harris's podcast.
Hold on, wait, before I let us move on, because someone had said it earlier, because someone said in the chat, they said, I'm giving real Hufflepuff energy, and I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. I identify as a Gryffindor sun and a Slytherin moon.
Flex.
So, what about the rest of you? I'm assuming Lance is a Gryffindor too.
I can't remember. I remember taking one of those online things. I wasn't Snape. I don't think I was the cool one. What's the cool one again?
Is it Gryffindor? Can't believe these are the people.
Isn't Hufflepuff like the one that Harry Potter's in? That's the one that everybody.
No.
Hufflepuff is the one that Harry Potter's in.
No,
we're gonna get. Well, I mean, it's socially acceptable not to know this anymore. Actually, it's better to not know that. Now people are gonna be like, yes, Mike's an ally. That's good. He doesn't know anything about Harry Potter.
Harry Potter is in Gryffindor.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Oh, Gryffindor.
Yes, Snape's the evil one. Hufflepuff's the nerdy one. That's what Ron Weasley's in, and then Harry Potter is in Gryffindor. There we go. I only read the third book.
This is the most contentious episode yet.
I'm like, wow, I'm blown away.
What am I? I don't know these things. Tell me
You would
what
be
I am.
Gryffindor.
You'd probably be Gryffindor. You're yeah.
I don't know the
Gryffindor or
difference.
misplaced
In my heart. I feel like David is a
Ravenclaw.
I think David's Ravenclaw.
What? Oh, because of the
Ravenclaw
handsomeness,
traits.
I think David's Ravenclaw. I think
Values intelligence, learning, wisdom, and wit. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think Mike
Let me
is
see the
Gryffindor with a Gryffindor sun with a Hufflepuff moon. That's what I'm giving Mike.
Okay, well, you know more than everyone else. You should give all of us something.
Yes. Oh, I'm gonna tell you what y'all are.
Okay,
I'm
yeah,
giving
let's do it.
David Ravenclaw. I'm giving Mike Gryffindor sun Hufflepuff moon. I'm giving Binder. I feel like Binder is I don't know, Binder. I'm gonna give Binder a Slytherin sun and a Ravenclaw moon.
Oh.
And I'm going to give Lance is probably a Gryffindor sun and a Slytherin moon like me. That's
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, I think that's right. Y'all assess that. The real people who know assess that in the comments. But I think
How do they determine that in the book? Does Harry Potter whip out the calipers and start measuring?
There's a hat that does it. There's an actual sorting hat that does it. There's a skull measuring hat. Yeah, that's true. There's a magical hat that goes on their heads to know what their caste is. It determines their caste forever.
It's all about race science. Oh my god!
I feel like I've read Harry Potter now. I feel like I know everything I need to know.
I never considered the fact that the hat was not using magic and was instead measuring skulls. That is, I can't ever look at Harry Potter the same. It's worse than I thought.
I fucking hate it here. I hate it so much.
So let me get this straight: Half-Blood Prince, a skull measuring magic hat, the goblin Jews running the bank. And the author just happens to be a raging transphobe.
God damn it! Like, I know, shit. Yes, this is a bigot. Like, no. There's a lot of shit in there. You ain't even really get to the real stuff, like what she was naming the black characters. Let's not get into it.
What is she naming the? I gotta know this now. What is the names of the black characters?
She also hates fat people. You can throw that one in there. All the evil people are fat.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, she's super fat phobic. It's a thing. It's a massive thing. A common theme.
She named the black character Kingsley Shacklebolt.
That's right.
What?
Yep.
She's the bitch is a bigot, right? Like, yeah.
Was this stuff obvious at the time, or not till she became a transphobe did people start like looking at her history? Like how recent did people start realizing?
You're kids. It's hard to
kids know, but society, like apart from I remember like back when it first came out, it was like stories about witchcraft and shit. That was garbage. But like, when did the actual assessment or like reassessment of Harry Potter start? Was it when she became a transphobe or before that? Anyone know?
Okay, so some of the things that we've mentioned already, specifically the anti-Semitism present in the movies, that was already talked about a little bit or explored, not to the extent that everything else is.
Because it was like so obvious, right?
Has anyone ever pointed out what I just uncovered, or is this something too with the magic?
Nobody had pointed that out.
Breaking news
I just uncovered something here.
Skull measuring magic hat. The sorting hat is what it was called. But David, answer your question. I don't know if you know this, but she uses a pseudonym called Robert Galbraith or something like that, which is also the same name of an individual who used to do a whole bunch of, I think, really bad experiments and was very anti-trans back in the day. She has so Stephen King uses a pen name and then releases books, and he did this to show that will people still like my writing if they read me but don't know it's me. And it turns out yes they do. They still buy his books because they're still like it's good. She's the opposite. No one bought her other books, so they had to reveal that was secretly her, so people would start picking up sales. Yes, it's the exact. And now now it's just out there as the pen name.
That's hilarious.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Did you? I don't know. This is a little bit like
just googling J.K. Rowling race science like a normal person.
I hate this woman and what she's done to me.
I do want to respond to Celeste here, saying David never saw Harry Potter, Shrek, Disney. He had no childhood.
You didn't see Shrek?
I grew up in the 90s.
So did I.
I may have seen
How
Shrek.
old is everybody? How much younger?
I may have seen Shrek.
How old?
And I have seen Disney movies.
I'm late
but not,
30s.
Because y'all are aging exceptionally well for white men. I wanted to really give y'all that because y'all say things sometimes to throw out a time frame, and I'm like, children.
For me, it's James. But my dad is like 71. He looks like he's like 55. It's insane.
Oh,
so
wow.
I'm just lucky in that sense.
Yeah. I'm old as shit. I'm 35.
Okay, so you're 35.
Mhm.
Lance said late 30s, like a real diva. He didn't give me.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not giving anything.
I'm also
away.
late 30s.
And Lance said, no one can know what my actual birthday is. I love that.
God, hell no.
That's beautiful.
No, I'll diva that shit.
How come? What's the? So I know. Should I have been concealing my age this whole time, Lance? Is it gonna bite me? What's the
No, it was one of those things. At first, I didn't reveal it because when I first started actually getting worried about how I was blowing up online. Like
Yeah.
my channel has more subs. I was like, oh, I don't want to get doxxed, so maybe I'll just like start peeling things back a bit out of fear, and then I just haven't really changed that since. Yeah.
I mean, just look at our StreamYard labeled names here. Who's the only person whose last name we don't know?
That's true. That's true.
That's a great point. Yeah.
Yeah.
David Dole, Mike Figueredo.
That's true.
Matt
You all have your
Binder.
full names on there.
Oh, how do you pronounce your last name? I'm sorry, I don't want to mess it up.
Olayemi Olurin.
Olayemi Olurin, Matt Binder, and Lance.
My last name is the Surfs
Surfs
TV.
is his last name.
The Surfs TV is my last name.
Wouldn't that be crazy to be like if y'all watch Mad Men?
Yeah.
Y'all watch Mad Men, right? Thank
I
you.
haven't seen it.
Thank God.
Anyway.
References.
What if Lance was like Don Draper? Like if we actually got his last and we realized that like Lance is not who he says he is at all. Like we did the research.
Oh, because he had like a completely different past.
He runs a marketing company.
What?
Yeah, like Lance.
I did used to work in the film and television industry doing digital distribution. So I used to do digital distribution back in the day. Yeah. I don't know about y'all, I've had so many shitty jobs. I've worked as a dishwasher, I've worked in construction, I've worked at 2 like movie theater fast food chains. Lots of shitty jobs.
I was a dishwasher.
Nice.
No, I've only ever been a lawyer. I'm so sorry to be the bourgeoisie over here.
Whoa, God damn. I've only ever been a lawyer.
In my defense, the U.S. government will not allow me to work. Wouldn't allow me to work any other jobs prior to like I'm being shackled by USCIS.
Fair enough.
But so okay, so Mike said 35. David, what'd you say?
Late 30s.
Oh, you two are okay. All right, Madonna. Okay, Bender.
If you follow me on Twitter, though, if you follow me and I follow you, you can look at my Twitter profile and see. And I think the
How
age
old
is
is
there.
Bender?
How old would you do you think I am?
Somewhere between 32 to 35.
Oh, okay, I'm 36.
Okay, check that out. Look good.
No one ever thinks I'm in my 30s. I'm always people always peg me for much younger.
You know what was crazy? People be pegging me for older, I think, because of my career, because of like the nature of my work. They assume I'm older, and I don't appreciate it. And I wish they would stop doing it to me. They talk to me like I'm like, no, I'm actually a young bitch. That's why I'm doing young bitch shit.
A young bitch.
LA is like 32, 33. I'll beat your ass. I'm 29, bro. I'm still like,
Yeah, I was gonna say like you're like mid-20s, right? I think you said it before, like
mid-20s.
29.
Yeah.
I will be 30 in July.
Is that the youngest millennials? What's the millennial cutoff?
96.
96.
96.
That's the last
96.
millennials because I
That's
have
the
a brother
Nintendo
who's
64
10 years
year,
younger
if
than
I'm
me.
not mistaken.
Oh.
Yeah,
That's
correct.
That's right, Lance.
That's how I know time in the 90s as being a kid.
Yeah.
It was the video game console that came out that year. That's how I know what year it was.
PlayStation 2000.
Yes.
Xbox and GameCube 2001. And
Yes.
you can go on forever.
Xbox 360 2005. I'm with you, David.
Lance, somebody says that you do drag in Brazil.
They're calling me Lance Santos. My word. I wish. I wish.
Come
I'll be real with you. I have too much ADHD to have the patience that man has. I don't know how anyone could play that kind of a long game where it's like at a certain point. I'm sorry, I couldn't just sit there and be like, "You're really buying this, all of you, the world. We're doing this. I'm strapping in. I'm an elected official. Hell yeah!" I couldn't get that far. I would break and give the game away so fast. Too many tells. Look at this.
I'm a terrible liar too. I can't.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, same. You could see it in my face, like when I lie. I couldn't. What he does honestly takes talent. It's like it's fucked up, but it's almost impressive the way he does it.
You gotta turn something off.
Did you guys see that
Takes
video of someone
sociopathy.
asking him? Did you guys see that video of someone asking him who he thought was going to win this season of Drag Queen?
We played that
Drag
right
Race.
Yeah, we played that before you got here. Yeah.
I think I could. Ego and self-preservation won't make me lie. Was the reason why I don't lie, just because my sister once said when I was a little kid, and it stuck with me my whole life. My sister Dune was like, "This is the ego on being an Oler," and Dune was like, lying is a sin, so why should I waste my sins on you? Like you and your feelings. Why would I?
I like
why
that.
Would I, be lying
I like
to you?
that.
And that's
I
what
like
I gotta
that.
think to myself before I go to lie to somebody. I'm like, wait a second, who the fuck are you? I'm the star of my life show. I'm not gonna lie to you. But I think if I wanted to be a liar, I'd be a great liar. I'm sure. I'm sure I could be a manipulative witch if I wanted to be. But don't. I'm trying not to be evil. Not to use your powers for evil.
I would probably be a bad liar until I convinced myself the lie was true. I'm pretty sure I could convince
Oh, I
myself.
definitely come to believe the lie.
Yeah,
Oh, I definitely
could,
convince myself.
but I would have to do that first. If I knew it was a lie still, I couldn't do it. But if I just to myself like looked in the mirror and was like, this is the truth, this is what happened, this is what happened, like over and over, I'd eventually probably believe it and then tell the lie easily.
Do you think that's what the right does? Like right-wing media? Like Steven Crowder wakes up in the morning, he knows
Psychs himself out.
doesn't believe the shit he's
I
saying, but he
think
like
Crowder might be a bad example because Crowder comes across as someone who would lie to your face happily knowing it's a lie and not give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I've heard though, like people that know him behind the scenes, apparently he doesn't believe what he talks about.
Most
But
of
he's-
them
Most of them
None of these
don't.
guys do. Alex
Most of
Jones
them
is on
don't.
the record saying it's a pure entertainment what he does. He doesn't believe the thing he said.
Andrew Tate too.
talk about that? I think about
Yeah.
that very often, where this like implicit, like silent rule that you're not supposed to like say how people are like full of shit. Like I feel like I know a lot of people, as someone who bears on like right wing stuff, I know a lot of commentators, a lot of people, a lot of that say a bunch of things that are completely inconsistent with everything that they believe and live their life in real life, and they will casually tell you about it. Like you'll go out to, you know what I mean, and they'll tell you, and it's like, but somehow I'm in some implied contract that you can't say it, so you have to sit on things, and like you're like, you don't live like that. You don't believe that shit. And I've noticed that. Like we just kind of have to rock with it. Y'all ever had that experience where
Did you just see
know this person?
Did you see the CNN whistleblower that just came out recently, like attesting to what you just said as being a real phenomenon? He used to, I think, work for Project Veritas and a bunch of other right-wing outfits, and he was just straight up like, yeah, they've told me before, like getting the views, the clicks, and the outrage is way more important than if it's true. So get out there and get the clicks, get out there and get the fucking the outrage.
I know the amount of people I'll know, like they that are like fully like in real life, they sitting down talking to you, they are gay and will be out speaking literally the most anti-LGBT rhetoric, blah, 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 like, and all these things. I'm like, and never mind the aspect of who people work for and what they actually do and where their allegiances are and what's going on there. I just find that it's very difficult to contend in that world. Like if you're honest, you know what I mean? You live a life just, to me, a lot of the things you'll see is like if y'all found out that in my free time I was like dating the president of the police union. And then like, right? And then like, would the other people just be expected not to say that? Like they're not supposed to, because you know you learned these things in the personal, you know what I mean? Like outside into the world, it's like, oh, you're not supposed to bring that into, you know, like it's unprofessional. But at the same time, it's like, but we're talking to the public. We're like convincing the public and galvanizing people around these things as though you believe in it, and it is completely inconsistent. But it would be unprofessional or whatever it is, or some kind of faux pas or like breaking of a rule.
It's like some people are able to separate their career from what they believe, which, you know, I get. And for some jobs, like, you know, I used to work in marketing. I fucking hated it. But you know, for the job I had to do marketing, and then I, thank God, left that job. But like it's for this kind of work where you are public facing, where you're supposed to be educating people, for you to put on a character or put on opinions that you don't actually have just to fill a role, I think is very, not just dishonest, it's just disgusting. Like you are
sad too.
Then again, if someone's actually a right winger, but they're a left winger on, I don't know why there's no money in this, but if they're like secretly a right winger, but they're a left winger, you know, in media, then who gives a shit? Like you're benefiting society, you're educating people. I don't care. But again, that doesn't exist. We talked about earlier, like there's no money to be made there. You can't, no one goes from, you know, the right to the left, or in the sense that like for money, or no one goes, no one pretends to be on the right and just attacks the right. Like that doesn't, like the way, you know, the Jimmy Dore types do, because there's no money there. But it is weird that for some reason, yeah, people are able to do this and they're able to live their entire, like Dave Rubin is a gay conservative media figure, and he talks about the people in his circle, like Matt Walsh just came out about how terrible it is for two men to adopt. Dave Rubin just adopted 2 kids. Like this shit's crazy that he is like
a person he calls a friend.
He puts himself into this.
Like Ben Shapiro is supposed to be his friend, and he won't even go to his own barbecues. Like I was watching that, I was like, I normally want to rip into you or make fun of this, but I was like, this is just sad. You're like looking at him, and he's just like, I'm not gonna go because how gay is it gonna be? And he's like, it's gonna be normal. It's just gonna be normal barbecue. Normal. He's like, yeah, but like how gay? Like you should.
By the way, I was just gonna say, that's
0
a
to
real
gay.
thing, right? That's a real thing. Like I have white friends that do that. You invite them to something and they ask you how many white people are going to be there, if it's going to be a black thing.
What's the quota? What's the quota?
No joke. No, they do that.
God.
What is it?
God. Swear to God, on a regular basis,
two
or like
white people,
my friend,
3, 4.
My birthday, on my birthday dinner in July, my friend's boyfriend was white, and that man faked sick right before dinner. Like rather than be at the table with all our black asses, just discomfort. Like my man was like, I can't do it. It's a regular. People do you like that in real life and expect you to maintain the friendships. Like it's just okay to be like. They're like, is it gonna be? And I always think it's interesting, right? Because in a world where marginalized people are constantly like talking about the lack of inclusion and what it is to be in a white world and yada yada yada, and being dismissed
every day.
I think it's so interesting. The very people that will dismiss and minimize what that is to live in a society where you have to go into white America at whole. Like everyone's always white around me, but if you have to spend one evening with your black friends, like then it's like. How am I gonna do that? I'm like, well, I was at my white ass class all day, my white ass job, this white ass
Join this white ass podcast.
Yeah, that's wild. Like, yeah, once someone says that, I guess you don't invite them back again, right? Like that's you can't really come back from that. Like it's ridiculous.
It's like, all right, let's re-examine this friendship. We have to.
So
we're at
weird.
10:31.
Oh, that's right. You gotta do your thing. Let's do our cancel uncancel.
I nominate. I'd like to nominate.
Plug your thing as well.
Oh yeah. Also for Tea Time with the Olay this week, someone should pull it up. Y'all know LOL Overruled. He's TikTok famous, so I bet that y'all do know him. If someone wants to,
I recognize
show
his face. I saw his face before.
Yeah,
He looks familiar.
Yeah, he is. I think he has like almost 1 million followers on TikTok.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Alex is TikTok famous for real. Okay.
Huh.
Yeah, so Alex is going to be my guest. It's going to be great. I'm going to be all in his business. I put up on my Instagram like ask questions, like what questions y'all want me to ask Alex, and I just want to say this. He needs to sue all his fans for sexual harassment. I am a woman with big breasts, and I've never seen sexualization like what y'all did to this man. Like y'all need to get his Alex needs justice. They treat his mustache like they treat my titties, and that's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It is a very nice mustache.
I was reading some of the comments. I was like, wow, okay.
It is a very nice
You
mustache.
see him in the comments, they're like, he's so hot.
I mean, you know, he's a nice looking man, but like people are going crazy.
Yeah, so if
I did
y'all,
not see the comments. That's
I
funny.
put the link. I put the they're hype, right?
Take
so
a
if y'all
ride,
want to, y'all can talk to Alex yourself. It's gonna be great. So someone dropped the link. I put it in our group chat if y'all want to put the link in the chat for people for Tea Time. It's gonna be excellent. I hope y'all turn out in droves. It will be fun. I'm asking ridiculous questions because Alex is already my friend. He's my work husband. If y'all didn't know that. So yes, that's my plug for Tea Time.
Amazing.
Okay, now to canceling and uncanceling. Bender, you might have not been here when we put up. So Jimmy, right now on the chopping block, Jimmy Fallon is up for cancellation.
I nominate Jimmy Fallon. Yes, in the strongest possible terms.
And George Santos is up for uncancellation.
No, we're not.
I have a new
George
nominee
Santos, that's
also.
for sure. I say we cancel Harry Potter. I feel like the revelation.
Harry Potter's been
on this
canceled.
show.
I do feel like Harry Potter's
been canceled.
Yeah.
It's already canceled.
I think we have to.
That's like being like, let's cancel Louis C.K. I'd be like, Louis C.K. is canceled. It's already happened. You know.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling's
so
canceled
let's
at least.
cancel,
No, Jimmy Fallon. Why are you not canceling Jimmy Fallon, Matt? I need to know the
Because he's
reasons.
not really in the news right now. I feel like there's other people worthy of it right now we're not thinking of. I mean,
But he got a
what's he done
pass.
recently?
He didn't get in trouble for all the NFT things. Think of all the thousands of people who lost money from the NFTs. The NFTs alone. And he didn't suffer any consequence for this.
And just imagine his face, Matt, and you'll want to cancel him.
Yes.
The fake
Fine.
laugh,
If you visualize his
slapping on the
face,
desk.
I've been
come
peer
on.
pressured into canceling Jimmy Fallon.
Yes.
If you have someone better, you can bring him up. I just can't think of anyone else.
I have someone for sure, but it's a temporary cancellation, not a permanent cancellation.
No, this is a permanent one.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
We can do
Mark
temporary.
Hamill. Mark Hamill. So
What did he do?
So the reason why I want to cancel him is because
second
He
like-
liked the J.K. Rowling tweet, right?
he played.
Yeah.
He's playing footsie.
He apologized
with
for it.
J.K. Rowling and transphobia, which is why he gets a temporary cancellation. But he only gets so many oopsies before it's like, okay, we know what the fuck you're doing. So to give everyone context, so he liked a tweet before from J.K. Rowling where she was being explicitly transphobic, but he apologized and said, okay, I was ignorant. I didn't know that she was referring to transphobia. Now, this last week, he did it again where a trans woman tweeted at J.K. Rowling and said, I'm more of a woman than you'll ever be. And then J.K. Rowling responded saying, citation needed. Now, he acknowledged once people started blowing up, okay, you're liking her tweets again. Okay, sorry, I wasn't trying to produce or promote transphobia, but his excuse overall was fucking stupid. It's like, no, I just like the tweet because I like when people speaks their truth to power.
That is, I didn't know who he was, but now I want to cancel him just off the strength. I can't fucking stand when white people take that kind of truth to power. Really? This white woman
isn't even like it's a combination of truth to power and speak their truth. It's like, this is J.K. Rowling. She's a billionaire. Like, she's punching down on trans people constantly. How is she speaking her truth to power? So that irritated me because, okay, I get that he's still willing to engage with us and he still knows that, you know, transphobia is bad ostensibly, but at the same time, you still keep liking her fucking tweets. Do you not realize that she is a vicious bigot?
Yes, don't even
at this point, everyone should know.
There's no world in which, like, you think someone could say some racist shit and I click like on it because I'm like, it's not about the racism, it's about the truth. No, he likes that shit. What are you talking about? No one looks at no bigoted shit that they think is bigoted and go, well, it's important to speak the truth. What? You think the bigoted shit
it's
is the truth?
messenger.
Yeah, exactly. It's the messenger too. So I'm tired of the bullshit. Like, trans people are in a fight for their lives, literally. And if you want to be an ally, you've got to go all in. Like this whole 1 foot in, 1 foot out. It's irritating me because it feels so disingenuous, and I expected better from Mark Hamill. So this is why I say temporary cancellation. 2 strikes, okay, you're fine, but 3 strikes, you're permanently canceled, in my opinion.
I will support your temporary cancellation. I think you make a good argument.
Yeah,
Only a Sith deals
I will
in
allow it
absolutes.
just because I'm voting for it.
I'm also
purely
not. I'm not
because
voting
Harry
for
Potter.
it out of self-interest because I still want to cancel Jimmy
You're
Fallon.
still Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah,
I'm voting for it
it's
because
purely
if
out
we
of
don't let him
self-interest.
if we don't cancel him, y'all will cancel Harry Potter. So I'm voting.
Harry Potter's already canceled.
I'm gonna beat you up, Lance.
I can't wait to send you that video. I can't wait. I'm gonna get that video ready right now. Ooh, such a good video. You're
Let's
gonna
live
love
in New
it.
York. You
You're
can
gonna
meet up
love
and
it.
roll it out. We can put it on episode 9.
Yes. But yes, okay. So we're canceling Mark Hamill.
There we go.
And
Mark Hamill canceled.
Bender said he will
Temporarily.
not allow for George Santos to be uncanceled on any show he's on.
No.
Oh, I'll disagree. I'll disagree with that one as well. I don't want George Santos to be uncanceled.
No, I don't want him to be uncanceled. I just think it's funny how much he's gotten away with. Minus, all
Amazing.
the terrible people all the people he's terribly hurt. Like, let's not forget that. But it's just crazy what the guy's gotten away with. But who should be uncanceled? This one's always hard because it's like we got to think about who's canceled. We got to think about, you know what I mean? Like most people that are canceled usually did some pretty bad shit. And aren't even most cases actually canceled. They're probably fine. Like still making their millions. I don't know.
Yeah, it's difficult. I have nothing that comes to mind. I'm always in like a fuck you mentality. So it's like, okay, cancel this one next. But like, I never think
canceled. Will that happened? Somebody Infinite Content. I think that happened, right? We did that like on the first episode, right?
Yeah. That was like one of the first. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Who's canceled?
I say we uncancel the A&W root beer bear, who we all made wear pants.
I have seen this as well. Yes, the root beer.
About this.
Well, that's all there is to it.
So basically, A&W made a joke. The root beer company, they made it. Apparently, they have a mascot that's a bear that wears a shirt but no pants. And so they basically parodied the M&M's announcement, like word for word, same sort of graphic saying, our pantless bear has caused a lot of issues, so he will now be wearing pants. And Fox Business did not realize it was a joke or a parody.
Oh my
And
God.
they ran a legit segment about how the woke mob came after the A&W root beer bear and made him wear pants.
How did I not see this and cover it? What the fuck?
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Amazing.
that seems like a rational national story and human.
Yeah, I
support
should have
story.
covered this.
Both of you.
Yeah. I would have been on that like stank on shit. Like
The weirdest thing is
stories I
actually
like.
the worst thing actually is them conflating the issue. because they said, oh, the woke mob came for M&Ms and now they're coming for the A&W root beer bear. But that's not what happened. The people who they consider woke did not care about the M&Ms. It was their own viewers who hated the M&Ms so much that it made them change.
They were in the building the whole time.
Shout out to R.M. Brown did a video on that, and the only video he could find where the so-called left or liberal media was covering the M&M thing was, it was like one of the morning shows on, I forget what show it was, but they just brought it up because Maya Rudolph, I think, is now the spokesperson for M&Ms. Like, there was no outrage about like the M&M changing what. No one fucking cares except for the right. Like, no one gives a shit.
Yep.
No one gives a shit about the marketing of chocolate companies. Like, who cares? So yeah,
everyone distracted.
I love R.M. Brown.
I can only masturbate to M&Ms who wear high heels, damn it.
They took that away from you. You used to have a proper country, Matt. Now you lost that, you know?
Unbelievable.
I felt unrepresented because there wasn't a Leather Daddy M&M character.
That's true, eh?
I think what this segment has shown us is that cancel culture really ain't real, like they say, because everybody that is canceled seems rightfully canceled every week. Like they're like, who? Everybody seems like they were rightly convicted. Like, I can't. It's real hard to come up with somebody to uncancel.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, the justice system works when it comes to cancellations.
Well, someone asked if we could cancel the cops. They've been canceled. Look who's here. Fuck the police.
Oh yeah, that's where were you like the last fucking 10 years?
Right. I got.
Well, there we go. A&W uncanceled because Fox canceled it.
All right. Yeah. I'm disappointed, but I accept the ruling.
Right.
That's all I'll say.
Hey, we're not always gonna knock it out of the park.
Yep,
every week,
I know.
though.
Hey, I group consensus.
It's a good way
I
to
believe
bring
in
up a story
democracy.
that we didn't touch on. So
yeah,
this is good. This is good.
All right, everybody, go find me on Tea Time with Olay. That's where I'll be in 3 minutes.
There you go. I linked in the chat earlier.
Yeah,
People check it out.
It's gonna be great. Y'all should go get your boy. Are we?
And I will get to all the super chats once people drop out of here.
All right. See you all next week.
See everybody.
Bye, everybody. Bye. See you next Thursday. Bye.
Oh, let me drop really quick to your audience here. Both who
Yes,
is airing this? The Surfs on Twitch.
I'm airing this on Twitch.
I am.
I'll have the VOD out tomorrow.
Okay, yeah, me too. I usually just lift it from Lance because his version doesn't go up on YouTube, so I have no problems with.
It goes up on podcast. Everywhere podcasts are sold.
No, I think if I take yours, it'll be a duplicate according to YouTube, and they'll get angry.
Oh, I see.
No, I take David's. I just add the intro.
You add like an intro or something to it.
Oh, I'm not gonna. I don't have time to do that. I just throw it right up. So youtube.com/MattBinder if you're not subscribed to me there already, and twitch.tv/MattBinder if you're not following me there already, and of course you can follow me on Twitter @MattBinder.
There you go. And I linked to everyone below the video.
Perfect.
All right.
Bye, friends.
God bless.
I gotta say, I had a lot of fun this week because I fell into this whole Harry Potter.
I'm gonna upload that clip.
I feel
right
like
now,
I'm gonna cut that into a separate video, the Harry Potter debate.
Yeah,
that was a good debate.
That was a good
If I don't become
segment.
the Harry Potter calipers guy, I'm gonna be very upset.
I'm gonna upload that right now. Yeah, that's going up on Twitter. All right, bye everybody.